hat on. You know that wee Oasis hat? I could see that.
Wee bucket hat.
The wee bucket. Is that what you call it?
Wee bucket hat.
Wee bucket. You got a wee bucket hat on?
Oasis vibe in your area.
Yeah.
Would you go if you had a ticket?
Would it go? Aye, if you get a ticket, I'll go with you. All right, aye. Are you going?
I know, but I don't really.
No,
I mean, I was never a massive Oasis fan back in the day. Like I like some of their music, but I wouldn't take a ticket off someone else to go, if that makes sense.
No, but do you know how these gigs, right? Do you know there's always a short supply of tickets and that, but then there's always tickets that come up for sale. I haven't heard too many tickets.
Well,
up for
no,
sale.
it doesn't really work like that anymore, does it? Because people put them back, sell them back through Ticketmaster or one of those companies, don't they? Often because you get more money for it.
Do they?
I think so.
Is that the way they work?
But you probably would see tickets pop up saying, on the internet, but not. I think that's so oversubscribed.
Maybe I'm not looking for it. Do you know if you're looking for things, you'll find them?
I think sometimes with football matches, people might not book a hotel or something pops up or there's something happens in the family. I think very few Oasis tickets are going to be up for grabs. I would say. And
then there's no chat about extreme accommodation rates or nothing like that.
But we're used to it now. It's become normalised. That's how they beat us. You see, they make us. It's like
we're sick of, it's
someone
not
said to me the
anymore.
other day. Someone said to me the other day, "I've got a room in Galway, and it's only €600 a month." Only €600 a month. We've been conditioned now that the higher price is normal. That's absolutely mental for one room.
I know. Anyway.
Well, a bit boring for you. You've got another minute. Say something interesting.
No, I have nothing interesting to say to you. They had a great day yesterday down in Clonmany. They're getting a right old run. It takes the weather, doesn't it? The Highland squad was down there.
I haven't been down to that show.
And Sinead, she was on the tractor, and Joe Duffy was on
today again.
It's on all week.
No, the Clonmany Agriculture Show.
Oh, it's on today, Tuesday and Wednesday, because that was one of the things I was to do with Lee. He wanted to go down there.
And are you going down?
Well, I might be going fishing, maybe, but I don't know. Depends.
Okay, no, it's a
kind of penciled in fishing between.
Oh, bull,
dear. What did you do?
I got away with it. It's okay.
Good man. So today's a good day. Could be a day for Clonmany.
Greg almost said a swear word.
Did you?
No.
What would you do if you said the big bad word? Well, you'd have to apologise. You'd have to apologise. You apologise straight away.
Listen, we're all just normal
Things
people.
do slip out.
You make a mistake, like. Do you think the listeners would be harsh on us?
Well, one or two might be. Just depends.
Sure, look, we're a local community radio station. We are of the community. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect.
And we learn from them and all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, have a good show now.
Enjoy the fishing.
Oh, well, if I don't go fishing, I might go to Clonmany.
Yeah, it's an hour and a half from me. You see, I would love to go, but
you can hop in the back. No, you can't.
No,
hop in the back.
No, that's illegal.
I know, that's why I thought that. I said it and then I thought it right. I can't do that.
Good luck to you. All right, it is 9 o'clock. Time for a news update, and it's over to Donigal Camino.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Health Minister is being urged to intervene to speed up the commissioning of an extension of Letterkenny University Hospital's pathology lab to facilitate more blood tests. The HSE says there was an 80% increase in the number of tests at the hospital in the 5 years to 2024, with over 7.16 million tests last year compared to 3.9 million in 2019. And that's why 5.5% of GP blood tests are now being outsourced. Councillor Jack Murray says this is costing over €1 million a year and needs to be addressed. He says everyone acknowledges an extension is vital. What's needed now is the political will to make it happen.
Common sense just needs to be applied. There's procurement processes that need to be followed, but we're wasting money rather than saving money by going through these delays. Over €1 million a year can be saved if we can just speed up this procurement process, get it built and save this money, and for the benefit of not just the patients in Donigal but the staff that are in that pathology lab, who it's been confirmed to be working to 2 a.m. There's serious burnout in there. We need to look after those as well as the patients.
A petition calling for the cancellation of a far-right festival in Leitrim has received the backing of Fontaine's DC, the Mary Wallopers, Chris O'Dowd and others. Misha Era, run by anti-immigration activist Stephen Kerr, is set to take place at the Mayflower Community Hall in Drumshambo on August 23rd. The event features talks by author John Waters and citizen journalist Suzanne Delaney, with critics accusing it of being an opportunity to spread disinformation. Leitrim and Roscommon Against Fascism organised a petition, and spokesperson Lee Doherty says the event just can't be allowed to go ahead.
It's not just about Drumshambo and the hall, it's really about community spaces across the country and the effort to make sure that they're not being used by far-right groups to spread disinformation or incite racism and division in communities, which would happen if this was allowed to go ahead.
An EU diplomat has been appointed in Haiti to deal directly with Ireland on the kidnapping of Gina Herity. The Mayo woman remains in captivity with a number of others after being taken at the weekend. Her family says it's still trying to come to terms with her kidnapping. They're asking people to keep all the hostages in their hearts. Dr. Louise Ivor is an infectious diseases physician in Haiti and a close friend of Gina's.
Everything you've been reading about Gina over the last few days is true. She's an absolutely fantastic person. She's a kind person. She's completely committed to the children and young people who she takes care of there in Haiti. She's just an absolute delight. Lovely, lovely woman.
And it's 80 years since an atomic bomb was dropped on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. A remembrance ceremony has been held with representatives from more than 100 countries, honouring those killed in 1945. Over 70,000 are estimated to have died on the spot. That's 1 in every 5 residents of the city. Toshiyuko Mikami was 3 when it happened. He describes how his father was at work in the city but didn't come home for 4 days.
My dad was in the basement. He was changing into his work clothes. That's when the bomb dropped. That's how he survived. When he came up to ground level, the city of Hiroshima was no longer there.
And the weather forecast, apart from a few early mist patches this morning, will be dry with some sunny intervals. This afternoon and evening will see cloud increase. Top temperature 17 to 19 degrees Celsius. Moderate south to southwest winds will become stronger along the coast as the evening goes on. And that's Highland Radio News. Back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, good morning.
With 3, even the small rewards are bigger than you think. Things like 20% off dinner that turns out we should catch up into actually catching up. Or getaway deals, whether you're after some quiet self-care in Kerry or carefree crack in Croatia. It's the little things that can feel massive. For rewards, discounts and more, 3+. There's nothing bigger. T's and C's apply. 3 customers only and registration required. Offers subject to change. See plus.3.ie for more details.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And yes, indeed, you're very welcome along to the 9 to Noon Show here on Highland Radio. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 6th of August. Strange night for me last night. Went to bed in the full knowledge in my mind that it was Monday night with routines and all that kind of stuff. Woke up this morning, thought it was Tuesday. Crazy. Here we are. It's Wednesday, so hopefully it's going to feel like a short week for me anyway. But it's good to have you on the show. What is Wednesday? We've got Chris Ashmore coming later on and so much more besides. We've lots to talk about, as you can imagine. We've plenty lined up for you. We want you commenting on the topics throughout the course of the day, but often you raise your own. We appreciate that. In fact, we've had a number of calls earlier in the week that we've dealt with off air, and we've got some answers for you in relation to your inquiries. So that's the kind of work we do here in the 9 till Noon Show. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or call us on 07491 25,000, or email comments@highlandradio.com. And if you want to watch the show, maybe you're at home this month or the first couple of weeks of it or what have you, or maybe you're home all the while, we're on your smart TV in the corner of your front room. We're on the wall above the fire. Just open up the YouTube app and type in Highland Radio Ireland, and you can watch the entire show there, or use your Fire Stick if you have one of those. And we're on the X platform and across our Facebook pages as well. Right, the papers this morning include the Finn Valley Voice and the Women's Needs Assessment Report 2025, prepared by Women's Collective Ireland Donigal, reveals critical issues affecting women's lives. Mental health emerged as a significant concern, with nearly half of respondents reporting experiences of anxiety, low mood, loneliness and low self-esteem. We're very grateful to all the women who took the time to share, said Daniel Boner, project coordinator of WCI Donegal. The survey report focuses on what women told us about their lives, their needs and interests, what's missing in their communities, how they would like to take part in local activities, and their views on gender equality. And you can read a detailed breakdown of that report in today's Finn Valley Voice. On to the Irish Times now, and obviously we're in the middle of summer. There's still, 2.5 weeks to go before kids go back to school, but it is when we're starting to sort of face up to the realities of cost. Some already, some break it up throughout the course of the year, but for many, going back to school is a major headache. It's up there with Christmas and other activities. Well, the Irish Times tells us that parents of children going into 4th class will spend more than €700 on back-to-school costs in the coming weeks, while those with children starting secondary school will spend over €1,100, according to new research from children's charity Bernardo's. The annual cost survey put those for primary school children at €725 when uniform, school trips, classroom materials, volunteer contribution and extracurricular activities are totted up, while those for older children were estimated at €1,113. When the children's charity carried out similar research a decade ago, the same items for a child in fourth class were €400, with parents of children entering secondary school spending an average of €785. So it's gone up significantly, and people's wages or payments haven't gone up to that extent. But it's a massive, massive bill to be facing into. And I think, those figures, whilst seeming high, are probably conservative too. And there's lots of simple things that we could be doing to reduce the costs for parents and guardians, but we simply don't do them. And a lot of people are going into debt, worried about how they're going to pay it. I think 54% of people surveyed said they were being put under pressure trying to meet those costs. And as I say, the summer's the time of the year where hopefully we could relax a little bit, drop our shoulders. But, the costs keep rising. And the cost of your TD keeps rising as well. The Irish Independent reports that TD salaries rise to €117,113 a year. They've got another €1,000 pay increase, which is nice for them. TDs have received a pay rise of more than $1,000 a year under the latest national public sector wage deal. I mean, imagine even earning half of that, that you wouldn't have to worry about absolutely everything. It would be amazing. But 117 grand, now they earn it, most people probably feel, but it would just be nice to have that kind of money, wouldn't it? I presume they pay a significant amount of tax, but then again, there's expenses and stuff go on top of that, so it's not too bad at all. So the basic annual salary rose by 1% from €115,953 to €117,113 last Friday. A senator's basic pay jumped to €82,000, which isn't bad at all. The Camcorder's gross pay has increased to €263,000, consisting of basic pay of €117,000 and an allowance of €146,000. So to be the Camcorder, you get an extra 146 grand. Politicians may be set for further wage hikes of up to 4% in the coming months under the deal that applies to more than 400,000 public servants. This includes a potential 2.5% increase for TDs from September 1st. Though deputies may qualify for the hike as their wages are linked to civil servants' pay. So it's not bad, is it? 117 grand, plus there's extras on top of that as well. Interesting statistics from the CSO yesterday, and Donigal features in them, and this is about births and deaths. When I had more time, these are the type of figures that I'd love to dig into myself, but unfortunately time just does not allow. And would you believe that beautiful Glenties in County Donigal has Ireland's lowest birth rate? It's got the lowest birth rate in all of Ireland, whatever they're at. While Tallaght, we need to steal their TVs. While Tallaght in Dublin has the highest new figures show. The birth rate is 13.7% per 1,000 people in Tallaght, 13.3 in Enniscorthy, County Wexford, and 13.2 in Fingal. They're the three highest in the county. Glenties has a rate of just 7.4%. Now, this is critical, really, to the future of any community. It's how many children are being born. And because they, of course, are the future school children, the future workers, and so on and so forth. But Glenties has a rate of just 7.4%. That's the Glenties Municipal District, I presume. It has to be. It can't just be one area. I don't think the statistics dig that deep. Looking at the overall figures, this is in terms of deaths and births. Looking at the overall figures, there were 35,804 deaths in 2022, with local electoral areas of Artane, Whitehall and Dublin City, Ballymun, Finglas and Clontarf recording the highest number of deaths. In contrast, Glenard in County Longford, 85%, and Milford in Donegal, 85, and Milford in Donegal at 85 recorded some of the lowest numbers of deaths. Now, I find it hard to believe that all of last year there was 85 deaths in the Milford Municipal District. That just does not seem right, but that's what they've printed. But now I need to go and have a look at those figures myself, because that really doesn't seem like it could be possible. But anyway, that's the case. According to the figures published in the papers today, just 85 deaths in the Milford electoral area. And in terms of birth rates, the lowest birth rate is in the Glentees Municipal District area. So whatever's happening in Glentees, well, whatever's not happening in Glentees. If you have any insight into that, maybe you are in the Glentees Municipal District, 086 60 25,000, let us know what's going on. On to the Irish Daily Star now, and at least 35 Palestinians were killed in Israeli raids yesterday amid fears Benjamin Netanyahu is planning to once again fully occupy Gaza. In a blow to fading hopes of a ceasefire with Hamas, Israel's Prime Minister was convening a meeting for talks on extending the military operation across the entire strip in a bid to free hostages. That would mean building army barracks in Gaza with regular patrols to try stop militants rising again. Now, I mean, obviously, Benjamin Netanyahu feels he can do absolutely anything. He's destroyed an entire nation. He's starving their children to death. And now he believes the right thing for him to do is to go in and take it over altogether. And he's going unhindered. No one's stopping him. Donald Trump is a huge supporter of his. And to the point whereby, and I'm sure you've heard this, believe it or not, obviously the United States is a union of states. And Donald Trump has told states that are critical of Israel that he will withhold disaster funding. So in other words, say Texas, for an example, say, for instance, their leadership sort of says, we condemn what Israel is doing. We're calling for an immediate ceasefire. And there is a massive earthquake in Texas. Well, no state funding from Washington would go to Texas to support the citizens of America because their state is opposing what Israel's doing. Now, that is, explain that to me. But a lot of this stuff goes under the radar, or people now are so immune to news or shocking opinions or what have you that it just is a shoulder shrug. But anyway, if you want to see pictures of children very severely injured and very seriously malnourished, they're all over the papers today because of the Israeli actions that continue on the people of Gaza there. On to the Irish Mirror, and the family of an Irish woman kidnapped from an orphanage in Haiti asked people yesterday to keep them in your hearts. In a statement released by the Department of Foreign Affairs, the family of County Clare woman Gina Herity said they were still coming to terms with the awful news that Gina and 7 others were kidnapped. They were snatched on Sunday. The statement said, "We continue to work closely with the Nos Petits Frères El Suarez in Haiti and Ireland, the Department of Foreign Affairs and international partners who've all assured us everything is being done to get Westport woman Gina and those taken with her safely released as soon as is possible." And you might remember that story. This is finally in the Irish Sun. You might remember that story of the mini-sub that went down to explore the Titanic and it imploded effectively under the pressure of the water. And there's been some investigation or analysis as to why it might happen or why it might have happened. And it's widely reported that the pilot of the mini-sub, which imploded near the Titanic, killing 5, would have faced a seaman's manslaughter probe had he lived, a report concluded. Bulliam Stockton Rush, 61, chief executive of OceanGate, dodged safety checks by outside bodies, intimidated staff who tried to raise safety concerns, and sacked those who did. His negligence led to failings in the design and operation of the 22-foot-long Titan, which suffered a catastrophic implosion of the hull under massive pressure south of St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada, in June of 2023. That's over 2 years ago. That's really quite remarkable. It's that long ago. But he won't face justice, of course, because he succumbed himself. Now, just a couple of inquiries here. We were contacted by a couple of people to say that Letterkenny University Hospital, they were told in the hospital that they have been told to shower in a particular ward because there's a bug, their words, in the water system. So someone contacted us and said they weren't allowed to use a shower and they were told there was a bug and they were curious as to what was going on. So we contacted the HSE and their response is this: as part of a routine environmental screening, CPE, as that's a mask or something, was detected in the shower outlet in one ward. Please note that CPE was identified in the shower drain, not in the water supply system. So the shower was then closed immediately to allow for effective treatment and decontamination. It'll remain out of use until repeat environmental screening confirms the CPE is no longer detected. We're working to resolve this issue as quickly as possible, and the shower will be reopened once it's safe to do so. So if you're down there or concerned about a loved one, or there might be something on a particular ward, there's no bug, there's no outbreak. It is some CPE that found its way into the drainage system, not the water system, the drainage system. I mean, I didn't realise they were that thorough. I wouldn't have imagined that would lead to the closure of a shower, but these are the rules. So that's why. I know that's not got broad appeal to all of you. It's just some of you were in contact with us and we wanted to give you that answer. An interesting one here before we take a break, and it's an important notice from the We Care Food Bank based in Letterkenny. And it reads as follows. The objective of We Care Food Bank is to provide short-term food support for people suffering from food deprivation in the broad Letterkenny area. This service is intended for people who do not have access to a food bank closer to the area in which they reside. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Due to a huge increase in demand for our assistance, we have no option but to introduce a restriction in our service, as we do not have the resources to continue at the current level. So effective from the 1st of September, people who've been using the services for a period of 12 months or more will cease to have an entitlement to support from We Care Food Bank Letterkenny. They say that we regret having to take this step, but it is necessary to ensure that we can remain in operation and continue to our work in the community. So for those people who have been on sort of long-term supports over 12 months, they're being cut off effectively from the food bank, which might seem like a double blow today. You know, why would you go to a food bank in the first instance if you can't afford food, and then the place that you go to get your food no longer is providing it for you? But I think I understand precisely why they might be making this decision, but it's going to come as a blow to some. And the easiest way to sort of help We Care Food Bank, by the way, is to contribute to them and support the work that they do. But anyway, I thought I'd bring that to your attention. And if you have any comments in relation to that, let us know. 086 60 25,000. Okay, Lorraine's going to join me after a short break.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Our McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
I'm James Elder with UNICEF, and I've been to Gaza. I've met the terrified mothers who know that their love isn't enough to feed their children. I've met the starving children in hospital too weak to cry. They need food, they need it now. UNICEF is delivering life-saving therapeutic food, but we urgently need your support. I've seen donations from Ireland bring hope where there was none. Please visit unicef.ie and help save a child's life today. Thank you.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
If you're looking to refresh your home, visit Foy's Fabric Department in Letterkenny. We've got ready-made curtains, made-to-measure options, window blinds of every kind and so much more. From cushions and throws to upholstery fabrics, you can choose from top designer brands and get advice from our experienced interior design team. Style it your way with the Fabric Department at Foy's in Letterkenny.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
It is 21 minutes past 9. Good morning, Lorraine. Thanks so much for chatting to me.
Good morning, Greg.
Now, you're being faced with a charge, really, that you don't feel you should be paying, and I think as people listen to the story, they might understand. So what's your situation, Lorraine?
Our situation, Greg, is that we're living out in the country, and our refuge collection dropped off maybe April, May time. The compost bins, the wee brown compost bins, to each household. Now, we never asked these compost bins. We just put out our refuge bins, and went out to collect it, and these wee bins was sitting. But anyway, I took mine in, and I don't use it because I have my own compost bin out the back. As I say, we're out in the rural country. We're a wee local community.
Mm-hmm.
We're all farmers. We have hens. We have sheep. We have sheepdogs, and we have no need for compost bins because whatever scraps we whatever scraps we have left over, our animals get them. But anyway, we discovered that the refuse collection was taking $4.20 out of our account, unbeknownst to us.
That was an additional $4.20 for this little recycling bin that you don't need.
Yes,
wow.
They were taking $4.20 out every 4 weeks out of our account, and when we were aware of this, I rang them up and I said, "Should I never put out the compost bin because I've got my own?" Mm-hmm. And they said that I needed to send them an email explaining why that I wasn't putting it out. So I sent off the email explaining that I had hens and I had sheepdogs and I had sheep, and I also have a polytunnel. So they sent back to say that I didn't meet the criteria and that they would still be taking $4.20 out of my account every 4 weeks, even though I wasn't putting out a bin because it was mandatory.
Wow. So what was the purpose of the email?
I got on to...
Sorry, what was the purpose of the email then? I mean, you've explained really quite clearly why you don't need a bin. You are using everything that you're using all the leftovers and even composting yourself to some extent. You don't need the bin. How could you not meet the criteria?
Exactly. But my friend only lives down the road 4 miles from me, and there's a different refuse collection goes around her area. And if she puts out her compost bin, she'll be charged $3.50. And if she doesn't put it out, she doesn't be charged.
So
and yet now they told me that it was mandatory.
That's what I was going to say. That her deal doesn't sound very mandatory at all.
No.
So
once and there's a lot of elderly folk. There's a lot of elderly folk around me, and they weren't aware that this was happening until I highlighted it. I think it's discriminating.
But it's £50 a year as well, as much as anything.
Exactly.
Else, for a service that you're not using, which is, for many people that's 2 months broadband. Not that you necessarily have access to that either, but it's not an insignificant amount of money. It's like a third of someone's pension or a quarter. So once the company came back to you and said, look, the government have made it mandatory, you have to have this compost bin, you don't meet the criteria for not having one, have you gone up the line at all, Lorraine, or is that what we're doing right now? Do you know what I mean? Were you able to contact the council or the Department of Environment or whomever might be responsible?
I got on to our local county councillor there, Dakota, and I said to Dakota, and she said that no one else had brought it to her attention, that as soon as the DAL recess again in September, that she would bring it to them.
Yeah, okay.
And see what could be done there. But I think it's very unfair. We have a lot of elderly neighbours, They don't need this here. They've ball enough trying to get by on their pension.
And you don't have access to multiple providers. So your neighbour a few miles down the road, her company doesn't come as far as you. So you've only one show in town, and that means that you are stuck paying this $4.20 a month if you have any refuse collection service at all.
Yeah, I rang another refuse company and asked them could they come up our way, and they said that they didn't do our route. My neighbour down the road 3 miles, that's where the other refuge company stops. We'd rather be with them, but sure, we have no choice but to go with this other company.
But what I don't understand is it's not compulsory to have your refuse collected, I presume. I mean, everybody in the country does not have to have a bin out, right? So how could an element of that service being compulsory? That doesn't make any sense to me. What's to stop you saying, well, you know what, stuff it, I'm not giving you an extra £50 a year for nothing. I'm not going to put a bin out at all. Do you know what I mean? So you that wouldn't probably be practical for you because you'd have to transport your rubbish and stuff. But my point is I don't understand how an element of a optional service is compulsory. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and we have to top up. We have an app on our phone. We have to top up online. Our elderly folk, other neighbours, is topping up for them, and there's only 2 places, the post office and a local shop, that we can top up with because the rest don't deal with this refuge company. So we're very, very limited. And if we don't top up our account, our refuge and that won't be lifted.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen, we have the name of the company, so we'll not mention it on air for now, Lorraine. We're obviously going to inquire on your behalf with them to find out about the situation and the criteria for getting exemption and the mandatory element of it. So leave that with us, will you? And we'll see what the company says. And we'll obviously get back to you and the listeners in general when we get a response.
Lovely.
All
Great,
right.
thank you very much.
No, thank you for listening and thank you for sharing your story. That is Lorraine there. We started off the show yesterday on the issue of a group of an individual or a group of individuals who are threatening, and indeed have, to go to iPass centres where people are working either on their development or actually working on the staff. And they said that you've brought these iPass centres to our doors and we're going to bring a campaign to your doors potentially. So they're threatening people to take photos of them or videos of them, post them online, dox them effectively, as it's called. I'm not sure if doxing is illegal or illegal. I would hope it's illegal. But anyway, and if that doesn't work, if you still continue to work on these iPass centres, we're going to protest outside your house. We're going to bring it to your doorstep, as the post on the internet says. We've had a lot of reaction to it. The majority are opposed to this, people struggling, trying to make a few bob, but not exclusively opposed to it, if I could put it to you like that. A caller says, would someone point out that Kim McMenamin, who is behind this initiative, stood for election at the last general election and got something like 531 first preference votes and was eliminated on the 8th count with 621. I think it was a bit more than that, but anyway, you've probably checked. Pierce Doherty got almost 20,000, Padraig McLaughlin 13,000, so the listener asks who speaks for the people of Donegal. Another caller says the debate is a bit too late. It's like closing the gate after the horse has bolted. Every county where immigrants came from should have paid a subsidy for their own people. Well, that was on the cards at one point. I'm not sure really what came from that. I remember Leo Varadkar announced a fund whereby it would be put into areas that had taken the greater amount of refugees to boost GP services and such. Like, the figure was announced. I don't think we saw any of that money, or I haven't seen how it's impacted on anyone's lives. But anyway, they go on to say areas should have been surveyed so they could cope with the amount of people. Nobody has the right to demonstrate outside anybody's house, though. It doesn't matter what their opinion is. Greg, majority of crime in this country is young Irish lads unafraid of consequences. I haven't felt safe walking about for 15 years, and it had nothing to do with immigrants. It was groups of teenagers with no fear of the law. That is a comment sort of that I can resonate a little bit with, to be honest with you. Now, some would say, well, now it feels extra unsafe, but I kind of probably would have felt like that for quite some time. The people of Buncrana do not want Kim to leave. If we don't wake up soon, we're the ones who will have to leave. That was an excellent interview on Highland Radio by Kim McMenamin, saving Buncrana from destruction, someone frames it there. Greg, as an employer of a centre, if he brings protests to our homes, we're going to bring the same protests to his homes and business. See how he likes it. But the way that whole system works is the movement is so big that you don't take it on. So that is the way it works, and it's linked and it's integrated. If you see a post, you'll see it's shared amongst hundreds of individuals and groups around the country. So in other words, if you were to dare stick your head above the parapet, you might feel the wrath. So would you follow through on that commitment with that threat? I don't know. 086 60 25,000.
Má tá tú idir 59 agus 7 bliain díos, joí tú cuireadh scág hástáil potóige báilíon HSE siar an aisce íonna. Cabhraíonn an scág hástáil le cóirí luadáilte potóige aimsiú, solamíonn aon symptom le feiceáil agus bíonn sin níos fosa í a chóireáil chomhar.
Get the job done with the right equipment delivered direct from Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Free delivery on all equipment has been extended to the Finn Valley area, including Ballybuffet, Stranorlar, Castlefin and Killygordon. With great daily and weekend deals available, call Watson Hire, Lisnen and Letterkenny on 9167777. See Facebook or visit watsonhire.ie.
Your dream Donigal wedding starts here. Join us at the award-winning Villa Rose and Jackson's Hotel Wedding Showcase in Ballybuffet, Saturday 9th of August, 12 to 5 p.m. Meet our dedicated wedding team, enjoy light refreshments and start imagining your unforgettable day. No appointment needed. Visit gallangroup.com for more details.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Nutria's Weanling Crunch is on promotion at your local Homeland. Buy 10 bags of Nutria's Weanling Crunch ATP and get one free, or €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutria's Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. For product details, contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist, or see nutrias.ie.
Nájé mail nar oin tú de chuire chun scág hástal potoige íana. Glíorín a hochtég a náj a caracuig a caracuig a cuig a cuig. No túr cuairt bowlscreen.ie. Own HSE.
Now we're joined on the programme by Nasia McGinn, Welfare Equality Officer with Students' Union at ATU Letterkenny. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are we?
I'm doing good. How are you keeping?
I'm good. I'm well. It's a nice morning this morning,
is indeed.
so I can't complain.
But it is that time of the year where we're looking towards the students returning or starting at the ATU, and that, of course, means that accommodation becomes an issue. And there are plans in the pipeline for certain units of student accommodation, and hopefully at some point the ATU will be able to provide even more accommodation itself. But the reality is that there are an awful lot of students looking to return or are starting their studies at the ATU, and there is a big want on accommodation.
Yeah, it's definitely something that's high in demand. Like, sure, look, ever since we became a university, we've only been growing and growing as a body, and it comes with all its wonderful pros, but it also comes with the cons, such as more students are coming in, which means you have more people to accommodate. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have to be seen as a con, because it's not only benefiting the 10, it's also benefiting the communities, benefiting the university, and that's where I come in, where I try to help people find accommodation. And look, we're going to try our best to be successful, but this is where we call it to landlords. And it's like, if you have a spare room, if you have a spare, like, people even call up and be like, we have a spare B&B that we don't use anymore, which is great. Like, people are so willing to put themselves out there, and I can only commend them on their bravery. So yeah, it's something that I really do appreciate, and students would appreciate it even more. So
yeah, one of the options on the table is the potential actually for €14,000 per year in a tax-free income. So the call's going out to students, couples and families with a spare bedroom to register for this initiative. And, it's not often there's tax-free options, and someone could have a room lying there empty. They can make up to €14,000 without paying tax. The last time we talked about this, there was a bit of a rush. I don't think people were aware of it, and some accommodation did become available. And I suppose that's why we're making the call again this year, Nasia.
Yeah, well, that 14,000, like, the minute people see it, it kind of like their eyes start to glow. But I think it's something that we should take care in carefully as well, because I understand that people rent it for different reasons, but also, like, I think it benefits the student just as much as it will benefit the landlord. Like, people are looking to pay off mortgages. Some people are lonely. Some people are just looking for, like, the odd company. Some people are empty nesters, and this further brings in an opportunity for you to actually, overcome all of that and just allow someone into your home. And sure, it benefits the student as well, because obviously they have a place to stay meanwhile they're attending university, and it's already hard enough for them as it is, because usually if somebody's looking for accommodation, it obviously means that they're moving away from home, they're in a new environment, they're going to a new school. So being part of that process as a landlord can be very fulfilling at times. Yeah. So
what kind of protections are there for the landlord? Do we have that information to hand, or is that sort of given when someone, maybe signs up, in terms of, the suitability of the student for the house in question or the room in question? Also, say, for instance, what might happen if the landlord's situation changes, or in fact, maybe their student life doesn't jive with them. Do you know what I mean? In the reality. So are there any protections in place there for any individuals, couples or families when sharing or, renting out a room?
Yeah, so usually whenever we think of protections, we think of legislation, we think of it in a legal way. But also, I think it's very good, and I think what I noticed about the landlords this year is that they're really good in, like, setting their boundaries. Like, I was even on the phone with a landlord yesterday. It's like, this isn't a party house. no smoking, no this, no that. And usually when you get a first year, they tend to abide by all of that because like you obviously don't want to get kicked out. Like it's your first year here, but obviously, the rights that landlords have is like, you know, you want the place clean. And if that obviously you can't just kick somebody out for the sake of it. But at the end of the day, I understand that it is your home, but also your tenant is entitled to rights as well.
Yeah, but I think you kind of
Such as
answered
being
that.
Giving. Oh yeah, no.
So
Go
no, I
on.
was going to say you kind of answered that question. So the landlord or the homeowner can sort of lay down the rules, and then you match a student sort of.
Yeah.
You match a student to their requirements, so to speak. So there's
Yeah,
there is a
100%.
protection
Like, it happened
of.
to me when I first moved as well, where
Yeah.
they just outlined it like, they're not gonna be mean, but they're just like, this is no smoking, no partying, and you obviously like abide by that. It's not hard as well, because like realistically, if you want to do all of that, just go outside of your home.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, it's just
no
little
guests
things like
over
that.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard that sort of the students often can become part of the family, so to speak, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, we can get sitting in the front room. Now, that's not it's not obligatory, don't get me wrong,
No.
but I've heard stories whereby, you know, a relationship forms there and the student sort of becomes part of the household as much as a tenant.
I agree with that statement, mainly because like I'm just graduating this year, so I'm not even a student out of school long. And the people that I rented with last year were family, but it sort of became like a little thing where like, oh, Nasia's in the house as well and stuff like that. Whenever they'd cook, they'd even leave something for me. And whenever it was their it was their daughter's birthday, and I got her a birthday cake, and then we got takeaway together, and it's stuff like that. Like it's not like you're not obliged to do these things, but it's nice to have that little forming relationship. And then sure, at the end of the year, what you know, they're like, if you want to come back, you can. Like we'll keep the room for you. And that's not the reason why you're obviously being nice, but like it's also nice to hear that at the end of the year. It kind of shook me a bit because I'm used to like moving. So to hear that, I was like, oh well,
Well, you
like,
created
thank you.
Yeah, you created a bond there, and they thought
Yeah.
much of you, and you thought much of them, which is nice. And it's, as I say, it's not going to be for everyone, but you could be, as we heard Nasia say, you know, an empty nester. Maybe your own family's moved down the country to college or what have you. You can earn up to $14,000 per year tax free. Which is not insignificant. In terms of demands for rooms, because we're at the time of year too where people are sort of weighing up their options of where to go, and accommodation is going to be a factor in that, Nasia. Is there a huge demand for accommodation at the moment? Do you get a sense of what's going on in that regard yet?
I think every year the demand just grows because you get more people, you get more students, you get international students as well as national students. So I'll be lying if I said that the demand isn't growing. It is. Like a lot of like ATU Donigal recently just became a university in 2022. So that's when I would have started university. And people like Donigal is starting to become more of a recognized place. It's no longer the forgotten county as people call it. Like people are starting to come up here, people are starting to recognize it for what it is. People are starting to acknowledge the fact that like it's a good place to just go to school. So obviously the demand is going to grow, but that's where we kind of try to, push it forward, push accommodation forward, try to help as much people as we can, try to help as much students as we can. So that's why we call it to our community, which I think is very strong here in Donegal in specific. So yeah, I mean, even like when we started giving out the flyers and people are coming at the window, people are emailing me, like it's great to see. It's encouraging. It's nothing short of encouraging.
Yeah, people have a real opportunity. It might suit them, and that's the people we're speaking to today. Those who this money would be a good lift to. They can sort of say, look, these are the house rules, and so on and so forth. So there's quite a bit of control there. If you want more information, atu.ie/accommodation, and the same call's being put out in Sligo, Galway, Mayo as well, by the way, where the ATU has learning spaces. And suwelfare.donegal.atu.ie is there as well. We've got all the contact details. Nasia, is there anything else you wish to add?
Yeah, so my number is 086-7702-700. And yeah, if you're listening to this and you have like a spare place, like I actually don't care where you are. If you're in the Donegal region, we'll figure something out. You're helping more people than you realize by opening your home and being brave enough to be like, yeah, you can stay here for 9 months or however long you want. So honestly, like, give it a go. Like a lot of people I've called landlords, they're like, yeah, we've been doing this for years and we've had good experiences. Like I think a lot of people take on the bad and harp on the bad when there can be so much good that comes out of this. So yeah, I would encourage you to just put yourself out there. Why not?
We're only going to focus on the good, Nasia. That's all I'm interested in. It's the summer. All right, listen, look after yourself. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Yeah, so that might suit you, as I say. I mean, a couple of people will go, right, that's for me. But check in with them, atu.ie/accommodation. We've got Nasia's mobile number here. If you have any doubts, ask questions. No one wants you to find yourself in a situation you don't want to be. But hey, if you have a spare room or you're living alone and you can have a chat to the student first and you think they're a nice person and you can say to them, look, no smoking, no boozing, you're not allowed guests over, and they go, okay, sure, wouldn't that be good for you to be able to earn tax-free money up to 14 grand per year? You might have a couple of rooms that you could benefit from. So we were looking at those CSO figures, and they were looking at overall figures. So I kind of misread the figures. I'm going to have to put my hands up here, right? Because it was about, they were comparing deaths versus births in certain areas in the last set of figures that I was mentioned, and they were comparing sort of the net gains or the net losses. So negative natural increase indicates more deaths than births. So in Milford, it was 85. So that wasn't the entirety of deaths. That was the difference between births and deaths. Because someone quite rightly pointed out there were 39 deaths in the parish of Meath alone. So I would question those figures. So that was my fault because I was scanning down the article and it's the difference between deaths and births. That's your actual population growth or decline. A caller says, I've been in hospital and I've come back home to bins being very full. I called our local company to get them to lift them, but I'm having problems getting a response. They're too heavy for me to move them. We've contacted... Oh, sorry, I can read the name because there's been a resolution to this. Okay, so I've been in hospital and I've come back home to bins being very full. I've called Panda to get them to lift them, but I'm having problems getting a response. They're too heavy for her to move because they've got breathing problems. So we got on to Nicola, the lovely Nicola in Panda, and her team sorted this out for our listener, Margaret. Okay, so well done, Panda. It's not their fault. The person was in hospital, came back to full bins, and the team there at Panda have sorted that out. So credit where it is due. Can you explain this one, says an emailer? If in Gaza, where the media is not let in, reports hundreds of deaths and shows footage of some of those atrocities, and on the other hand, in Ukraine, where Trump says there's up to 5,000 and more being killed weekly, there is zero footage and no media being stopped from reporting from the front line, which they had at the very start of the conflict in Ukraine. Is Trump lying? Is the media lying? Or are we being lied to too? Well, Ukraine is... the total figures is hard to ascertain, so you have to trust the Ukrainians or you have to trust the Russians. I don't know where Donald Trump got his figures in terms of the amount of soldiers dying, but there are reporters in Ukraine. It's not reported on the news every day, but there are channels whereby, if you want to see drone footage, video footages of people fighting on the front line, or indeed in some cases their tanks or vehicles being bombed, or these fly-by-wire drones going into groups of soldiers. That's all there. You can see that. Gaza is different. It's very, very tightly controlled. There are journalists in Gaza. I don't think the international media is actually paying them for the information that they have for one reason or another. So what do you believe? I think you go through all the information, you go to your own sources, and then you believe what you find out. I think if you're relying in this day and age of people to give you information and that you can trust it without a bias, I think those days are gone. Hi, Greg. Just wondering why there are bus stops on each side of the 4-lane carriageway between the Dry Arch and the Polestar roundabout, but no bus company will stop there. Just wondering why are they there? I've never noticed them, to be honest with you. Is there pull-in spaces for them as well? I'm not sure. Maybe they were future planning. Let me know if you know. Re Gaza, why don't Hamas give up the innocent civilians they've cruelly kidnapped and tortured, and then Benjamin Netanyahu won't have an excuse to do what he is doing? Well, they should immediately. They're starving those people to death as well. But Benjamin Netanyahu, that's not his red line. He wants the complete and utter elimination of Hamas, not just the hostages being given up. So his conditions to stop what he's doing are greater than what you've suggested. Listening to Lorraine about the 420 taken out of our account for something we don't use and never asked for, it is disgraceful. I agree. Those bins are sitting in most people's sheds or out the back door or blew off on Monday. We had the wee bin too, and around them got through to another country, but I took my bin into their yard and gave it back, and they took the bin off our account and gave us back the 2 months' money. It's to do with the government. They get the cash, so take the bin back to the company. They literally dropped it off. All right, next guest on the way.
The hilarious 3 Hail Marys on Grainon Letterkenny, Friday, September 5th and Saturday 6th. Book now on grainon.com.
A public service announcement from Donigal County Council. National Heritage Week takes place from Saturday, August 16th to Sunday, August 24th, and there are over 100 events taking place across Donigal. Most events are free, giving everyone the chance to enjoy and explore our natural-built archaeological and cultural heritage. This year's theme is exploring our foundations, inviting us to reflect on the roots of our communities, traditions and landscapes. Discover how the past has shaped the present through open houses, guided walks, site visits, field trips, exhibits, talks, workshops, historical reenactments, launch events and children's activities. To find out what's happening in Donigal, visit heritageweek.ie. Let's explore our foundations and celebrate the heritage that grounds us. Donigal County Council, serving the people and preserving the heritage of Donigal.
Make real savings this week at SuperValue. Like SuperValue Fresh Irish Barbecue Meats 3 for €10. Super Quinn Breakfast Deal 3 for €5. SuperValue Ice Creams also 3 for €5. And scan your Real Rewards card or app and get Pepsi, Club and 7-Up 18-pack cans for €10. Make real savings this week at SuperValue. DRS supplies.
Tá seachtain náisiúnta na haireachta buailte linn, mar sin buail an bóthar chun teacht ar áiteanna, scéalta agus daoine idir cheann agus nua i do cheantar féin. Siúil ón 6 go dtí an 4 de bhí lúnasa. Aimsigh imachtaí ar heritageweek.ie. Seachtain náisiúnta na haireachta, clór de chud na cóirle aireachta le takeíocht ó líonraí aireachta na núdarrás áitiúil agus ón rainn taíochta, rialtas áitiúil agus aireachta.
Make a splash with Aura Leisure Swim Academy. Our fun-friendly children's swim lessons teach a lifelong skill and a safe and supportive environment. Give your child confidence in the water and in life. Find us at 10 convenient locations across Ireland, including Aura Letterkenny. Visit auraleisure.ie/swim to dive in today. Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, we're joined on the programme now by Salim Shear, Project Officer with Voice Ireland. Good morning to you. Thank you for your time today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, Greg.
How are you keeping?
Good. How are you?
Good. We were talking, it's funny how on programmes like this, sort of one story runs into another. We were talking about recycling and recycling bins, completely separate to what we're talking about now. Because we're focusing on a recent survey which looked at some of the items found in our bins. So what are the key findings, Salim?
Yes, so this is the second time that we've run this national initiative where we've asked citizens, so households, to help us audit their recycling bins over a period of 2 weeks. So they would basically look at each item that they put within that period of time into the recycling bin, and then look at where it was from, so the source, and what kind of material was it. So was it soft plastic, the ones you can scrunch in your hand? Was it hard plastic? Was it paper? These kind of things. And so this is the kind of data that we don't really usually have when we just look at national level data. So that's a very interesting one to sort of identify, the main sources and things like that. And so what we saw is that 70% of everything that is in the average Irish recycling bin comes from the supermarket, which in reality isn't so surprising, but still is, a very important number. And half of the whole of the bin was plastic. So we do see that there's a main source and there's a main material. And knowing that there is a global plastic crisis and next week are going to start the plastic treaty negotiations, I think that's a great way for people to relate to it a little bit more and see it on their own household level.
The thing is though, we don't want it. A lot of us don't want a lot of the stuff, and a lot of the packaging doesn't make sense. When there is plastic trays where I don't really think there needs to be plastic trays. There's that scrunchy plastic that often I don't feel needs to be there. Sometimes it's just sitting around bananas. The bananas aren't even sealed in it. It's just sitting around. And you know, what's that there for? So 3 peppers. I got 3 peppers yesterday in plastic. I don't need them in plastic. You know, that's plastic I have to put in my bin. I don't need them. They'll perish one way or other, right? So do you think that the suppliers need to start talking to us a bit more? Because that's part of the solution as well, I think.
Yeah, I think the survey was aiming at really looking as well, like where's the responsibility? Because we tend to often put it on the individuals, but in reality, as you say, that's not something that we're necessarily asking for. So it's more of a convenience thing for the industry, for the producers, the supermarket, in terms of, you know, transporting the goods, in terms of also marketing, because on a plastic piece you can put your branding on, you can, you know, you can put all these things, and there's also the idea of having to buy in bulk rather than only one item, and so sometimes they make it a tiny bit cheaper when it's 3 in one pack rather than
you buy 3
loose
things for 2 where you probably only want 2 things, and the third thing is lost then anyway. It's actually just it's just waste. What can they do more of? One of the suggestions is more refill stations. Like, what does that look like? I wouldn't mind. I'm not a fan of refilling plastic because of carcinogenic issues and what have you. But I'd have no problem going to a supermarket and filling my own container with milk, for an example. I could very easily adapt to that, and that's just the one suggestion off the top of my head.
Yeah, so there's a lot to be talked about around the refill station, having just veggies and fruits being sold loose as well, because a lot of them have natural, you know, packaging around them. So we don't even really need to bring our own stuff. We can just put our, you know, our apple in our basket. That's it. And whereas when it comes to refill stations, so I come from France and we do have them in a lot of supermarkets. So you sort of like just bring your own container, whether it is whatever you like, really. It's you can bring your own sachet, your own whatever, and then you just put your pasta in it, and you either have to weigh it yourself or they weigh it at the till.
You know, pasta is, and I find the packaging is actually useless. You can't open pasta a little bit. You try and open it. Next thing you know, the entire kitchen is a sea of pasta. You know, then you decant it into plastic containers, which I've begun doing, and then instantly you're throwing this really quite thick plastic. It feels plastic anyway. Away. Salin, just out of interest, is the right plastics going into the right places? Because, you know, we think anything that feels or looks like plastic is recyclable. Is that true? Or is it still a case that some of these plastics shouldn't really be in the recycle bin?
Well, most of it is now accepted through the recycling system, including the quite like small and tiny ones. I think the only ones that are still complicated are, you know, wrappings of like snacks and things like that, because they tend to have multiple material in them. It's not just plastic. So these ones, whether or not you put them in the black bin or the recycling bin, they will most likely be incinerated because they're just really hard to recycle. And I think it's better to put it in the recycling bin because it is accepted now. But in reality, yeah, we do only recycle 32% of our plastic in Ireland at the moment. So you know that, you know, it's great for people to continue to do it because we are building better capacity, better facilities to
but all those plastic bottles end up on a big diesel ferry or container ship going somewhere else to be recycled, I believe. One final question. I'm surprised the trend is going the way it is because, as you mentioned, this is the second survey and we've seen an increase. So 2/3 of waste would have come from supermarkets in the last survey. It's up to 70% now. Is it just a different way of doing the survey, or is there indicators as to why it's actually going up?
Well, we don't really have specific indicators of why it's going up, but what it is showing is that whatever it is, the supermarkets are not reducing the amount of plastic that they're putting on the market, whereas this is something that we want to be pushing for in the future to see an actual decrease. But yeah, I think it might be because this year there was a separate way of counting bottles and cans because they were part of a sort of a DRS, you know, sort of thing. So maybe it was a bit more precise in that way or less precise. So that could explain it. But the reality is that there has been no changes, if not an increase. So that that's what we need to work on with supermarkets, with policymakers in the future.
Yeah, because I do believe there is an appetite. Normally, you want something to change and then you have to start working on the public mindset. I think we would adapt very quickly to changes in the supermarket sector. Okay,
Absolutely.
Listen, it's been lovely having you on the programme, Celine. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye. Take
Bye-bye.
care of yourself. Au revoir. Okay, that's Celine Shear there. 086 60 25,000. If you have any comments in relation to that, I mean, help us out here. The amount of waste. I did a shop yesterday and I come back and I was chucking stuff out, packaging that I didn't want or didn't need, and it is really quite frustrating. Maybe you've got a view on that. Okay, we're going to take a break. Back after the news and obituary notices.
Jimmer Tash of Colin Ferguter and Shaw. A Clar Rulya Bullion Chartan Shaw, he kid in your Sharka G Hock the Club. Bay, Shami Olduhi, Starry Achul, August, Kjol, Le Butcher, Fla, Olu, Bernie Kavanagh. Rulya Bullia, he kid in your Sharka G Art, B.G. Lynn.
Back by popular demand, the High Stool Prophets return to Canavan's Ballygolly on Friday, October 3rd for their high-energy Irish folk and trad show. Dance, sing and stomp the night away. Tickets just £20. Book now at canavans.co.uk or check Facebook. Get ready for an unforgettable night. Use promo code Highland10 to get 10% off your ticket.
New this week in Home Store and More. All pet beds, toys and accessories are all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price pet beds, toys and accessories are gone, they're gone. Also, all reed diffusers are still all 33% off, and all school bags are still all half price. But when all the 33% off reed diffusers and all the half price school bags are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donigal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donigal Town.
Injuries happen, illness strikes, but waiting in A&E doesn't have to be your only option. At Ophidia Letterkenny Minor Injuries and Illness Clinic, we treat everything from broken bones, cuts, burns, infections, rashes and more, with X-ray on site so you get answers fast. No appointments, no delays, just expert care right when you need it. Don't wait. Walk in today or visit ophidia.ie. Ophidia Letterkenny. Expert care without the wait.
Tonight at the 56th Clonmany Festival, there's the High Flying Paddies at 7 and the Tumbling Paddies at 9. Tomorrow, Thursday, Paddy Tracy and Derek Ryan. Full schedule at clonmanyfestival.com.
McGowan Hearing, your audiologist experts, now in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation in our clinic or your home across the northwest and beyond with Darren McGowan on 07191 00208.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donigal Camino at the news desk. The Department of Justice says it is not seeking any extra capacity for the location of asylum seekers in Buncrana, and nor does it have any offers. It's in response to a question from Donegal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, who raised questions about an extension to a property on Walker's Lane, which is already being used as an IPAS centre. Deputy McLaughlin says at this point it would be unreasonable to expect Buncrana and Donegal to take any more.
Donegal, in terms of Ukrainian refugees and asylum seekers, has taken more than any other county per head of capita. We have a humanitarian crisis with defective blocks, so we just cannot sustain that. And that's why I continue to seek clarification, but the position of the department remains the same in terms of Buncrana. They're not seeking any properties and they don't have an offer, so that should hopefully bring clarity to the situation.
The Health Minister is being urged to intervene to speed up the commissioning of an extension of Letterkenny University Hospital's pathology lab to facilitate more blood tests. It says there was an 80% increase in the number of blood tests at Letterkenny Hospital in the past 5 years to 2024, with over 7.16 million tests last year compared to 3.9 million in 2019. And that's why 5.5% of GP blood tests are now being outsourced. Councillor Jack Murray says this is costing over €1 million a year and needs to be addressed. He says everyone acknowledges the extension is vital and what's needed now is the political will to make it happen.
Common
sense just need to be applied. There's procurement processes that need to be followed, but we're wasting money rather than saving money by going through these delays. Over €1 million a year can be saved if we can just speed up this procurement process, get it built and save this money, and for the benefit of not just the patients in Donigal but the staff that are in that pathology lab who it's been confirmed to be working to 2 a.m. There's serious burnout in there, but we need to look after those as well as the patients.
A petition calling for the cancellation of a far-right festival in Leitrim has received the backing of several artists, including Fontaine's DC, the Mary Wallopers and Chris O'Dowd. Misha Era, run by anti-immigration activist Stephen Kerr, is set to take place at the Mayflower Community Hall in Drumshambo on August 23rd. The event features talks by author John Waters and a number of other prominent speakers, with critics accusing it of being an opportunity to spread disinformation. Leitrim and Roscommon Against Fascism organised the petition. Its spokesperson is Leah Doherty.
It's not just about Drumshambo and the hall, it's really about community spaces across the country and the effort to make sure that they're not being used by far-right groups to spread disinformation or incite racism and division in communities, which would happen if this was allowed to go ahead.
Garda numbers are not expected to hit the levels pledged by the coalition earlier this year. The chair of the policing authority warned the Justice Minister that due to retirements projected to significantly increase in the coming decade, a commitment to recruit at least 5,000 Gardaí by 2029 is under threat. Elaine Byrne told Jim O'Callaghan that in the absence of radical and meaningful reform of recruitment, it is highly unlikely that the target will be met. Well, the GRA president, Mark O'Mara, says Garda numbers will be significantly hit due to retirements early next year.
One of our major concerns really in the last 12 months was the amount of resignations that we envisage would take place from April of next year, because bearing in mind in 1995 there was increased recruitment campaigns back then and the numbers of trainees and the intakes going into Templemore increased significantly. When April next year arrives, we're going to see a significant increase in the number of members retiring.
A senior UN official is warning there could be catastrophic consequences if Israel expands its military operations in Gaza after reports that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pushing for total reoccupation. Israeli media reported that Netanyahu plans to meet his security cabinet this week. However, Middle East correspondent for The Economist Greg Kallstrom says he may not follow through on the threat.
Unless we see Israel start to call up significant numbers of reservists, which he would need to do for what Netanyahu is proposing here, unless that happens, which it isn't right now, then there's a good chance that this is for either domestic political consumption or as a way of trying to put pressure on Hamas.
And an EU diplomat has been appointed in Haiti to deal directly with Ireland on the kidnapping of Gina Harity. The Mayo woman remains in captivity with a number of others after being taken at the weekend. Her family says it's still trying to come to terms with her kidnapping, and they've asked people to keep all the hostages in their hearts. Dr. Louise Ivor is an infectious diseases physician in Haiti and a close friend of Gina Harity.
Everything you've been reading about Gina over the last few days is true. She's an absolutely fantastic person. She's a kind person. She's completely committed to the children and young people who she takes care of there in Haiti. She's just an absolute delight. Lovely, lovely woman.
Weather forecast, apart from a few early mist patches this morning, will be dry with some sunny intervals. This afternoon and evening we'll see some cloud increasing in top temperatures of 17 to 19 degrees Celsius. Moderate south to southwest winds will become strong along the coast this evening. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines at 11. Check all the latest news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notices this Wednesday morning, August 6th. The death has taken place of John Joseph White, the Water's Edge, River Row, Moville. John's remains will leave Eamon McLaughlin's funeral home, Station Road, Carndonagh, this evening at 7 o'clock, going to his home where everyone's welcome to pay their respects tomorrow and Friday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Funeral from there on Saturday morning at 10:30. For 11 o'clock, Requiem Mass in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by private cremation in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. Family home is private on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to Cree, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Bernadette Logue, Corvish, Carndonagh. Bernadette's remains will leave Emma McLaughlin's funeral home today at 4 o'clock, going to her home. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 10:20. For 11 o'clock, Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Carndonagh, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral mass can be viewed live on carndonaghparish.com. Family time from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Donigal Hospice or the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, care of any family member or Eamon McLaughlin funeral director. The death has occurred of Mary Fury, The Hill, Kellybegs and formerly of Glenties. Remains are reposing at McBurty's funeral home, Kellybegs, today from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Funeral arrangements later. The death has taken place of Norman Kerr, 102 Yerney Road, Strabane. His remains will repose at his home today from 11 a.m. until 10 p.m. Funeral service at his home on Thursday at 1 o'clock, followed by burial in Yerney Graveyard, Strabane. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Mary Curie and the Foyle Hospice, care of any family member, or William Key or Terence McClintock funeral director. The death has occurred of Michael Cullen, formerly of 23 Hawthorne Heights, Letterkenny, reposing at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, today from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m, with removal from there to St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, arriving at 6:30 to repose overnight. House strictly private, please. Requiem Mass will take place at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, followed by burial in Lex Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital or St Eunan's Nursing Home, care of Jim McGlynn, funeral director, or any family member. The death has taken place of Doris Kearney, Main Street, Kerry-Keel, reposing at her late residence on Main Street, Kerry-Keel from 12 noon until 9 p.m. today. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers to the Patients Comfort Fund, Ramelton Nursing Home, care of any family member or McElwee funeral directors. Funeral service at 2 o'clock tomorrow in Fanet Presbyterian Church, Kerry-Keel, followed by interment in the family plot in Milford Presbyterian Churchyard. The death has taken place of George McLaughlin, Leg Nahuri and Balladerg, Letterkenny. George's remains are reposing at Leg Nahuri today from 12 noon until 10 p.m, with rosary at 9 p.m. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15, going to St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by interment in St Eunan's Church Graveyard, Raphoe. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donigal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Phyllis Patton, ní Gillespie, Grahamsland, Castle Finn. Service of thanksgiving for the life of Phyllis will be conducted at Lynch's funeral home at 50 Castle Finn Road, Castlederg, today at 12 noon. Interment afterwards in St Mary's Cemetery, Castle Finn. The death has taken place of John Pat Gibbons, Rathmines, County Dublin, and formerly of Ballymagahy, Fanad, County Donegal, reposing at St Columba's Church Mass, Mount Fanad. Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock this morning, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to Merchants Quay Ireland or the Irish Lung Fibrosis Association, care of any family member. Requiem Mass tomorrow can be viewed on the McAteer Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Danny Kelly, Kern, Terman. Funeral this morning with 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Terman, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Charlie McClafferty funeral director. The death has taken place in Croydon, London, of Samuel Delap, formerly of Ballyconley, Milford. Funeral service this afternoon at 2 o'clock in Ramelton Presbyterian Church. Burial afterwards in Banks Cemetery. Family flowers only. Donations, if desired, to Dementia Research UK. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
With 3, even the small rewards are bigger than you think. Things like money off runners that makes your first jog in 3 years slightly less painful. Or early access tickets to that gig you said you'd literally die if you missed. It's the little things that can feel massive. For rewards, discounts and more, 3+, there's nothing bigger. T's and C's apply. Pre-customers only and registration required. Offers subject to change. See plus.3.ie for more details.
We were talking in the first hour about Glenties having the lowest birth rate in the country, the Glenties Municipal District, or the local electoral area, as they call it now, sorry. A caller says, Greg, they need to open the Limelight nightclub again. That would rise the birth rate. Okay. It's an option. You know, everything's on the table at the moment. Nothing is off the table. Let me see. Call asks what CPE is. Sorry, I thought I did mention it when I was doing it. CPE is CPE in water. Sorry, I actually thought it was masks and stuff. So that's not what that is. My apologies. CPE in water refers to carbapenemase producing Enterobacteria C. It's found in hospitals, environment, water sources like sinks and showers. It refers to a group of bacteria that are resistant to a broad spectrum of antibiotics, making them difficult to treat. These bacteria are a type of superbug and are commonly found in the gut. While they usually don't cause illness, when confined to the gut, they can lead to infections if they spread to other parts of the body. And that's why it's being treated as so seriously. Look, and I can only be honest, I normally get it 99 times out of 100, but this is a bacteria. It's a group of bacteria that's been found in the drains of one of the showers on one of the wards, and that's why people are being asked to use a shower in another area. It's not in the water system, which I think is quite significant. It's actually in the drains. Appreciate the question, which gave me the opportunity to clarify that, and apologies if I misled anyone. Not my intention. Right, lots of stuff here. A lot of reaction to the situation. Hi, Greg. The situation we were talking about yesterday morning. Hi, Greg. That centre in Buncrana lost a child 2 months ago to the drowning in the Swilly. There's no men in there, only children and women. Do you think minimum should put them under further scrutiny? They're going through enough trauma. They've been in the community now for 2 years. Surely he's putting them at the risk. Well, it turns out that these work people that were working on an extension close to this facility in Buncrana, it's actually nothing to do with the IPAS centre. It's a development completely unrelated. So going up and taking pictures of people and posting them, they're working on a private development. It's got nothing to do with the IPAS centre at that location. It is not being extended. So unfortunately, and this is why facts are important, unfortunately people, unless the information is incorrect, unfortunately people that are being threatened with exposure, doxing and potentially people going to their homes, the extension they're working on has got nothing to do with the IPES centre, and it's got absolutely nothing to do with providing additional accommodation for those seeking international protection. So I don't know how that... it just goes to show you really have to be sure, don't you? Greg, as an employee of an IPAS centre, Commit Minimum has basically called out a mob on me and my colleagues. Surely I have a right to be protected from this? Well, the problem I would have is, once you get on that route, what's next? Is it, I don't like a pub there. I don't want a hotel going there. I don't want a housing development there. If the public can sort of dictate stuff like that, where does it actually end? But sure, look at Greg, Kim's attitude towards those workers at these centres is practically the same as what the IRA did to those who worked in British Army barracks. They killed them, either shot or car bombed them. The human bomb at Coshquinderry is a case in point, a disaster case because of where the men worked. So recent Northern Irish history did atrocious acts, but they haven't been condemned in the way they should have been. And then the caller wants Sinn Féin to respond to that. But just to clarify, the work that's ongoing in that area at the moment is not to extend the IPAS centre. It's not on the cards at the moment. Greg, I fully support the gentleman you had on the show yesterday from the Indian community. From my experience, people from India are very gentle, generous and respectful. They are from either Hindu, Sikh or Christian traditions. The majority of IPES men are from the Islamic community in Islam. It doesn't have the same values and beliefs or understandings of other religions. Muslims look upon others as less and have no respect for the people of Ireland, they say. This is where the problem of the future lies. Something must be done to stop these people. Now, I must say, we've spoken to members of those communities and they don't portray themselves like that, but that's just what that person believes. Hi, Greg. There is a difference in migrants coming off their own bat to make a better life than there is in refugees brought here. Everything they need is paid for. They're not migrants. They are the problem. But the whole conversation, the whole point is that people in all different communities who've come here on work visas or were born here are now starting to experience more racism than they did in the past, because they're presumed to be, you know, a narrative of being able to talk about a whole class of human beings in a certain way has been normalized in this country. So it's not a bit wonder that extends to everyone who's not perceived to be, you know, Irish and white. And that's the whole convo. There is no distinguishing between those seeking protection and those that are here working and have been doing so for many years. Half of the staff down at the hospital are not Irish. Good man Kim doing a great job. The Irish government have to go, says that listener. I can see Kim's point. Nobody wants to be seen associated with concrete and block suppliers when the mica protests kicked off. Kim's way might be the simplest way if you're protesting the right building. Kim disowned the post's wording with a chuckle when you put it to him. Perhaps he wants to talk from both sides of his mouth. Well, he's looking for future in politics. Totally agree with Kim. These people come to our country seeking only a free ride. How many safe countries have they passed through to get here? It's our benefits that attracts them, not the desire to find a job. While I disagree with Kim over naming people just doing their jobs, I do think the press has to be much more honest with the people. The man who stabbed the guard in Dublin, for example, was described as an Irish citizen and Irish born. It was only later they said he was also Pakistani, but he was an Irish citizen and he was Irish born. He just happens to be, if you go back, the son of immigrants. But I mean, where does that stop? If you're born in a place and you are from a place, are you of that place until something goes wrong, and then all of a sudden we go back through your family tree to say, well, actually, we're disowning you there. I mean, I don't often get this argument that people say, you know, about the Irish going to Scotland or America or Australia, you know, because we often didn't go necessarily. We went in different contexts often to what we're talking about now. That being said, if you were born in America to an Irish family and all of a sudden they wanted you all to go home because the son committed a crime, that's what we're talking about here, and that would be a better metaphor, I think, for the Irish experience versus the inward migration to this country. I'm a very concerned Buncrana woman who definitely thinks twice about walking around certain areas now because of these men. Most are not vetted. Also, the infrastructure is not here to cope with what we have, which only leads to more anger and resentment. I do not agree with Kim's actions, but where are our local representatives? Well, you heard Pádraig McLaughlin on the news this morning. I think that the workers who are working on IPAS centres are only trying to make a living and do a day's work. We're not in a position where we can pick and choose where we work. They shouldn't be followed home. And they're not actually in Buncrana working on IPAS centre. We're being told that there are no plans to extend that centre, that work is to do with a different building altogether. Right, let me mention a couple of things, if you don't mind, before we take a break. The coffee morning. A coffee morning is taking place at the Cottage Bar in Buncrana on Saturday the 9th of August from 10:30am to 1:30pm. It's in memory of Deirdre McDade, née Callahan. Spot prizes on the day and all proceeds in aid of the Donigal Hospice and Eye Care. So that's a coffee morning on Saturday between 10:30am and 1:30pm. That's in the Cottage Bar, Buncrana. Now, also, let me see. I want to get to some of these announcements here. Good morning. I've just been listening. Oh, no, that's not that one. It's this one. My apologies. Happy 80th birthday to Billy Tinney from Ballyholy, Rafo. Hope you have a great day from your son Liam, daughter-in-law Claire, and grandchildren Abby, Cassie, Holly, and Andrew. And happy birthday to Christopher Patton from Flaxfield Convoy. Hope you have a great day from Auntie Claire, Uncle Liam, and cousins Abby, Cassie, Holly, and your bestie, Andy. And I just want to give one mention. I'll be back in a sec. Yeah, here I am. Now, this is getting close to one of your last calls for Riverdance, the new generation Riverdance 30. It's the show that hit the big time with that sort of semi-random halftime performance in the Eurovision 30 years ago. And from that spawned a show that has been watched by millions around the world. Some of those legs 30 years ago, they're starting to get a little bit creaky now. And there's a new generation of dancers that are equally as exquisite and talented. And they are in the midst of a very popular tour at the moment. It's Riverdance 30, the new generation, and it's coming to the Gaiety Theatre in Dublin, and it's a limited anniversary tour there. We're we have a luxury coach heading to it, and we want to offer you a space on it. So as part of this deal, you get overnight accommodation, that's bed and breakfast, at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel in the heart of Dublin. I mentioned the luxury coach travel. It will pick you up and then drop you at the door of the venue. Tickets to the show, we've got some great tickets for you, and we'll also allow you a little bit of free time in Dublin. So we have just a very small number of tickets available. If you're interested in heading to see Riverdance on Thursday the 28th of August, get in touch with us right now, 07491 25,000. The coach is almost full. We just have a couple of seats up the front or at the back or in the middle, wherever you choose to sit. They're available for you right now. So give us a call, 07491 25,000. That's on the 28th of August. An overnight B&B stay at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel in the heart of Dublin, your luxury coach travel to and from, and some lovely tickets for the show and some free time in Dublin, and to get to experience a wonderful event, something that will stick with you for a long time with a big group of other Highland Radio listeners. If you're interested, give us a buzz, please. 07491 25,000. 07491 25,000.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 6th of August. You're playing on the blue sheet for the daily prize of €800. The reference number is S18. It's game number 32. The numbers are 87, 25, 52, 50, 59, 23, 64, 65, 31, and finally 67. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Bill?
Yes?
Can you throw my green dress in the bin?
Are you sure?
Yep.
It's not that bad, love. And when your sister said you looked like a courgette, I'm sure she meant it in a cute way.
Bill.
We could at least donate it. There must be someone who could get good use out of it. Maybe turn it into a pair of curtains.
I said put it in the laundry bin, Bill.
Oh, right.
Not hearing the whole conversation? Book a free hearing check with one of our experts at Specsavers. Terms and conditions apply.
I've always loved courgettes.
Make the most of the last weeks of summer at Century Complex. Enjoy blockbuster movies, indoor soft play, thrilling crazy golf and delicious family meals all under one roof. Rain or shine, there's fun for everyone this August. Century Complex, perfect for keeping the kids entertained whatever the weather. Visit centurycinemas.ie for more information.
Oakfest 2025 returns to Oakfield Park this September 6th and 7th. 2 days, 2 stages, 1 unforgettable weekend. Enjoy live music, incredible food and drink, and glamping under the stars, all in one of Ireland's most spectacular settings. Saturday, live and original, featuring Wet Wet Wet, Boney M, Racy, and the Whistling Donkeys. Sunday, Legends Reimagined, with tribute performances to the Eagles, Blondie, Springsteen, and more. Tickets are going fast. Get yours now at oakfieldpark.com.
Now, we're joined on the programme by Deborah Hannigan, who's a special needs mother. Deborah, good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you keeping?
I'm good. Busy.
That's good. Yes, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are very. Now, we're talking about issues with changing facilities. And I know this is something you've talked about in the past, and we have too, but at the same time, we have to keep plugging away, don't we? So just recount, your lived experience, Deborah.
Basically, I wanted to shed some light on it again. I know everybody talks about it, but I just don't see any real changes with changing facilities. And as a special needs mum who has a child with, that has to wear nappies and stuff like that, we find it wild hard when we're out to find anywhere that I can change her. Like, it's either the back of the car, or somebody said to me one day, "Oh, we have a toilet, but you'll have to put her on the floor," and I just don't think it's right. I do talk about it on my TikTok as well, and I did email Pierce Doherty to see if I could get some sort of changes put in place. But again, it's up to the government to do that. I don't think it's up to the businesses, small businesses especially, wouldn't have that kind of money to change their facilities. There's a lot of rates and things I get to pay. But I just wanted to come on and see if we can make some change, especially say the likes of play parks for children. Like, I can bring Ezra to a play park, but there's no house, there's no facilities for her to get changed or even to get into some of the swings and things like that. And my friend who has another wee boy, he's really profound disabilities and is in a chair all the time. Finds it really extremely hard to get him changed because he has like brittle bones. So lifting him out is a danger in itself. So I'm just here today to really shed light on all that.
And we could sort of talk about where places there is accessible toilets or inclusive toilets or play parks or a wheelchair that makes one particular beach accessible. But they're few and far between, and it's amazing, and it's often community driven that those facilities end up being there. But for a parent like you, and particularly for your daughter, who actually also deserves to have equal treatment and to be treated equally with respect by the facilities, it can't be ad hoc. We need a policy, a plan, don't we? We need to make sure that anything that we do is inclusive to all children.
Well, I think in this day and age now, I don't think there's a family out there that doesn't have a child with additional needs of some sort. So I think you're right. I think policies have to be put in place. I mean, there's baby changing units there. So I think it's about time now we had bigger changing units in house. Because I was at a hospital appointment there with my daughter and we were in Scally Place and she had wet her nappy. And I said to the nurse, I have to change Ezra before we see the consultant. And she led me to the room, but I looked around and I was like, where's the changing unit? And she was like, oh, there's a wee changing unit there, but it's for a baby. Now, Ezra's nearly 12, so you can imagine trying to put her in that. One, I wouldn't be able to manage to lift her on it. And two, it wouldn't be safe at all. So I think it's very important that places, especially hospitals, things like play parks, places where
government buildings definitely. I mean, every single government building should have should have facilities like that you talk of, because we can't expect necessarily private groups or community groups to do what the state itself is not doing.
Absolutely. And I know I raised it in my TikTok last year that I was at a play place, and I didn't name the place because I didn't want to do that, but I had just mentioned that I had to put Ezra on the floor for there was no other area for me to change her, and they got in contact with me. Can I name the business? Am I allowed to do that? Or
but I mean, is it positive engagement you had with them?
Yeah,
okay, because otherwise we'd need to give them a right to reply. Go ahead, Deborah. Yep.
So it was Century Cinemas or Century Play there, and they contacted me straight away as soon as they seen my TikTok and says we have a plan put in place to get a new changing facilities, whatever. But anyway, they did do it, which I just think was amazing.
Yeah,
it was absolutely fantastic, and I have seen it, and it's absolutely brilliant. They done a really, really good job.
Well done to Mark and the crew down there. Yeah.
Oh, I was just blown away by that. Because now it's safe to bring her down there. It's and somewhere she enjoys.
See, the thing is as well too, like, it's great. I think sometimes it's going to be necessity, but also desire that you bring Ezra with you, and she's part of the family, and she's part of a day out, or she's part of the normal routine in life. But I mean, if it gets to the point whereby, and she's getting bigger all the time. Obviously, she's 12 now. That you either stop doing stuff for yourself or she's excluded. Unless we sort of start catching up with families' needs, because you're vocal and you have a great platform and you use that, Deborah. But by default, you're speaking for thousands of families who are quietly frustrated by all of this, and you would know that by your DMs, I'm sure.
Oh my God, massively. I think this is why I wanted to speak more on it, because whenever I did put up TikToks about, changing facilities and stuff, there was so many people around Ireland who were struggling the same way as I was. I mean, unless you're in it, unless you have a child like the likes of Ezra or whatever, you don't really know and you don't really think. But the struggle that I have, like if she was too dirty or nappy and I had to change her in the back of the car, like as I say, she's nearly 12 , so
she deserves better than that. She deserves better than that. The wee dope.
She deserves better than that as well. But it's a whole handling. It's like
I know.
It's such a mission, and people don't even realize that, But I mean, so many people are in the same boat as me, and I think it's time in 2025 we changed all that,
Yeah, now people are texting, obviously, Breach on Facebook. Inid Carshlocha in Dunlewy has a fully equipped changing facility. There's a hoist and changing bed up in the Vestry Cafe at Letterkenny Town Park, which is great. Century, as you mentioned, now have their facilities, and it's brilliant, right? But I know people, and it's not just children; it can be adults as well. But if they're going somewhere in this country, they are weaving all over the place to sort of go to the handful of places, it seems, whereby you can actually change someone or look after their needs. Do you know what I mean? We're a long way from where we need to be. It's great where we see advances, dear Deborah, but I think what you're looking for is just a complete and utter normalisation.
It's amazing the places have it, but Donegal is so vast. Like, I'm from Lifford, so like I don't have anywhere that I could change Ezra, or even we take her up to play park there in another town, and there's nowhere there either. So it is just few and far between. I've took her to Letterkenny Park, and I think it's absolutely amazing. But I think every town should have that.
Yeah, a caller says, Greg, just to add to this, if the facilities were there, these would facilitate older people with dementia and additional needs. And there's younger people with MS,
100%.
and there's a whole plethora. I mean, but that is your future. At the moment, you're focused on what it's like for a mum with a child. But I mean, soon we're going to be talking about, what it's like for a mum with a child in their 20s. So it's not just children, it's right across the board that these facilities would benefit.
That's it. Like, even as they say, like people with dementia and stuff like that. I mean, carers be taking adults out, and it's scary for them, because what if they do have an accident or whatever? There's nowhere to really rush to or go, or if they're out shopping, even the shopping centres don't have them. Foyleside has one, but we don't have any in Pennies, or we don't have any the likes of, say, Lidl. If I was to go to Lidl now and do my shop and there was an accident, it's back out to the car and then back in, and it is hard work, like.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's amazing what you do, to be honest with you, and that you're not frustrated and tearing your hair out, because we want our best for our children as well, and there's a personal sort of protection there. And then when you kind of feel that they're being disadvantaged or not thought of, it's very visceral how it hurts us as parents.
Oh, it's hurtful. At the day that I was told to put her on the floor, it hurt me. I had to get a blanket and put it down, but people don't realise, like, the carer has to look after themselves as well. It's about their back and everything, and that's why hoists are needed, so that I could hoist Ezra up onto a bench, and the bench is big enough to go onto adults. I mean, that would be the dream, but the government has to do it. The government has to give businesses grants for these kind of things.
Yeah, and whatever about retrospective, I'm not sure what the planning laws are now, but I mean, every building, certainly every public building, or every major development, like a supermarket development down in South Donegal, for example, is the most recent one I can think of. A changing places toilet, a fully accessible facility should form part of that planning permission. And if you cannot provide that, well, then really maybe you should question whether or not you should be running a business at all. Yeah, I'm on about businesses of scale. Do you understand,
Absolutely.
Deborah? But
me too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand that smaller business, like I have a small business myself now, it is accessible, but is it accessible for children? But if I had any type of grant to help me, I would make that a priority. And the same for every other small business, but we're crippled by rates and whatnot. So I am talking about the bigger scale, like supermarkets, shopping centres, parks, all that kind of thing, and especially hospitals. Like, it's the shock when you go into hospital. Like, I have to change my daughter. Oh, right, there's nowhere to change her. Like, that to me is insane. Like,
all right, listen, Deborah, we'll make our inquiries as well. I think this is one of the ways campaigns like this work is parents or people without kids, for that matter, put themselves in your position and also then back you. Because if we're reliant on as there's lots and lots and lots of families, right? But if we're reliant on them to drive change, they're not big enough in number, even though they're significant, and not everyone wants to speak out. So this is the type of situation where I, as a parent, have to go, do you know what? This is a disgrace. I'm going to back Deborah on this, because whilst it's not for my kid now, and God knows what could happen in the future, God forbid, but, we need to think collectively and support each other on this one, Deborah, I think.
That's it. Like, if you just imagine if you have a 12-year-old yourself and they're completely fine, but imagine having to change the 12-year-old. that's what it comes down to. It's so hard. It's so hard for all parents with children with special needs.
They need dignity and respect. She's 12 years of age now, and she needs a bit of dignity and respect. And I know you afford that to her in any which way you can, but you need the state to back you in doing that. She needs to be able to be part of society, to be seen, and not feel that I have to stay in the house because there's nothing there for me. That's crazy. Okay,
that is.
Brilliant stuff, Deborah. I'm not sure if I've cut into your working day. My apologies, but it's such an important
I'll go to work
issue.
here now.
All right, take care of yourself. Do you want to give it a plug?
Thanks a million.
Do you want to give the work? Do you want to give it a plug? What you do?
Oh, I do hair and makeup and beauty.
There you
so
go.
Okay. And I do TikTok as well.
Yeah, when you can squeeze it in. I don't know. It's often what amazes me is like I feel like I'm sometimes so busy and tired. And, the world's against me. And then, people like yourself, Deborah, advocates, have so much work on. I don't know how you do it all of the time and fit everything in. It's amazing what you do. Thanks so much, Deborah.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Take care. That is Deborah Hannigan there, if you can relate to that. Or if you want to support what she's saying there, maybe you've got your own lived experience. 08660 25,000. Well, a vision has entered... A vision has entered the building, yet to take their seat, and I'll be speaking to that special person after these messages.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Celebrate summer this week at Centra with their amazing summer sizzler offers. Like selected barbecue meats, any 3 for €10. Coca-Cola 12-can pack, €7 plus deposit. And Heineken 20 bottle pack, now €25. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 91 26688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
A water conservation order continues to be in place in the Milford area until September 16th to safeguard the water supply for essential purposes. This order follows many months of dry weather, putting the water source under stress. Please do not use a hosepipe or sprinkler and conserve water wherever you can. Together, we can safeguard our water resources. Learn more at water.ie/WCO. Ishke Éireann, delivering water services for Ireland.
Looking for a great family day out? Don't miss the Ardra show this Saturday 9th of August at Pierce Memorial Park. Enjoy livestock displays, a giant marquee, dog show, fun fair, vintage machinery, trade stands and more. There's free kids entertainment, a fully serviced restaurant and live music in the afternoon. A perfect Saturday for all ages. So grab the gang and head to Ardra this weekend.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
Okay, I'm in studio with the one and only Noel Cunningham. Hello, Noel. How are you?
Well, Greg, I am extremely well. Good morning to all of your listeners on this rather beautiful sunny morning and very warm out there.
And you know what? We're at that time of the year, dear, whereby if the sun comes out, it's warm. It's nice and warm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
and the weather, I mean, we always talk about the weather in Donigal, but the weather has a better nature to it this year. It's most pleasant and most gorgeous.
You were in Clonmany yesterday.
Clonmany yesterday, Clonmany today. Yeah. And we're so excited because about 10 or 12,000 people were there yesterday. We hope for a huge number today. The weather's kind. There is so much to... Greg, in a nutshell, you have a lovely little boy called Hudson. To see the children yesterday in large numbers, in awe of animals and crafts and things going on and the machinery, you know, and then Philomena Begley was there and she was just unbelievable. Today we have David James and other music, and David James is being honoured as the up-and-coming world star.
Where are these honours coming from? What do I have to do to get an honour?
Greg, you have been honoured by me since.
No, and don't get me wrong, it's one of my most treasured possessions. But that I can't put you on my mantelpiece, dear.
Oh, you can. I am quite happy to sit on your mantelpiece any day of the week.
No, fair play. And I was speaking to Caroline before the show come on, and I was like, why do we not do this show from that fair? I don't know.
It would be wonderful.
I think we might try and do that if we're all still alive and healthy.
That would be such because the mixture of they're from all over the country.
No, I'd love to.
People forget that Clonmany Agricultural Show is one of the finest in the country.
And do you know what they got this year's weather as well? Because as soon as it's dry, as we mentioned it earlier on, it's nice and warm and even if it's windy, the wind's warm. It's lovely.
And let me tell you very briefly, poor Ver from Donigal Town, who spent weeks accumulating stock to bring over to do a pop-up shop and fashion shows. Their marquee was the only one on the show field that was blowing down the night before. So they had to regroup yesterday morning, put it back all together, and they did fashion shows, they did a pop-up shop. Amazing. People are amazing.
No one was none the wiser. Okay, right. Hard to believe it's almost Donigal Camino time again. The countdown is on now to the 5th Donigal Camino, which opens at Shrove Beach on Inishowen on Donigal Camino Day, Sunday 31st of August, and that now is Donigal Camino Day. It's an official day. It weaves its way across the stunning hills, coastal routes and loop walks of Donegal for 7 days, and it finishes on Slieve League on Saturday the 6th of September next, and we are delighted to be involved with it again this year, and I'm going to be going to one of my favourite places in the entire world, and that's Ironmore Island on Thursday the 4th of September, and I'm going to be taking part. And you know what, as we build up to that, we'd love to bring listeners along and to support this fantastic initiative which fundraises for Cancer Care West Support Centre in Letterkenny, which does the most amazing work. And I think hopefully over the last wee while we've been able to help shine a light on the fantastic facilities, the amazing staff, and also the wonderful experience of people that go there. They're not customers, they're not clients, they're family. And I think they always become part of that family then. Deirdre McGlone is the Donegal Camino chairperson and joins us. Deirdre, lovely to see you, and all very, very exciting. Can you imagine how lucky we are to have the scenery, the hills, the nature, the walks, to be able to host an event like this? Anyone coming from outside of the area, and even if you're travelling to another part of the area, your head's going to be blown off with the beauty.
Absolutely, yeah, delighted. We're so excited for our 5th Donigal Camino, Greg. And, Noel, myself and Peggy Stringer, who was the founder all those 5 years ago, it was a rainy day on Slieve League. We had a ball. It was a small crowd, and every year since it's got bigger and better. And thanks to you and your listeners and Highland Radio for all your support. It's been very much appreciated. But it's a joy, Greg, to see, businesses, communities, people from all over the country getting together to share the joy of Donegal. And even though I'm located in France, my heart is still in Donegal, and I can't wait to get home for the hills.
There's something particularly special just about taking part in the event, and I want to focus on that for a second because it's very inclusive. There are different types of walks depending on people's abilities, but when you're amongst the other people taking part of it, you catch up with someone or someone catches up with you and they recount where they were previously or why they're doing it, or there's just such a wonderful sense of being with other people in that moment, if that makes sense. I don't want to sound too soppy, but there's something particularly special about this.
Oh, it certainly is. It's it's spiritual in its own way, and whichever way people want to interpret it. But definitely, everyone has a story to tell and a story to share, and the Camino is all about that. Doing it in Donegal, where everyone feels that freedom and that sort of trust to chat to somebody with no inhibitions and no worries. And it's there's laughter, there's tears, but there's dancing and singing. Once Noel is there, there'll be dancing and singing. But it's a brilliant way for people to connect, maybe reconnect with themselves, and certainly connect with others.
It's great to do, with somebody else or as a group, but I think anyone should have no bones about doing this as an individual either, because you certainly aren't on your own. That's very clear from the get-go.
Yeah, sure, for sure. it's a group effort, and we all look out for each other. And there's backup cars if anyone feels a little bit tired, but there are the variety of walks is such that there's something for everybody. So you can do 1 day, 2 days, or all 7. All the choices are there.
It does two very vital things. One, and often this is underrated, I think, in many areas, is raise awareness of the services of Cancer Care West Support Centre. People who hear for a first time that it's there, they didn't even think they would ever need such a facility, and then realise that those services are there, that it's so welcoming, that it's centrally located. That's a very important element of it, I think, to get the message out there, Deirdre. But obviously, too, in raising funds. And the Donigal Camino, has been incredibly successful in supporting the amazing work that Cancer Care West Support Centre does. Why is this centre, this organisation, so important, do you think?
Well, having been there, when we were presenting one of the checks one of the years, I was just in awe of the work they do, seeing it firsthand and listening to people's stories, etc. And because they don't get funding from the state, so it's our efforts and the efforts of our walkers and our sponsors and our people who join us. That's what's making the difference to people's lives and people's who are on a cancer journey. So it's a joy for us to be able to do that and to be alive and well, to get out on the hills and not only promote the beauty of Donegal, but raise those awareness and funds, much needed funds for cancer services in Donegal.
Noel, you would concur, obviously, that they do amazing work down there. And but maybe family was the right word. It's just, I know people personally who've come through their cancer journey. There's so much goes on, bounce back cancer, just so many things that people worry about. You think I've got the all clear, the phraseology we use, and you think it's all over. But for the person who has had cancer, they continue to engage with Cancer Care West because they get the anxieties that people might have, or they continue with their support. It's an astonishing thing all over, Noel.
Absolutely. And bonjour, Deirdre. Lovely to hear your voice. Look, there are no words to describe the spirit of the Camino. And the marvellous thing is that spirit of the Donigal Camino is also the very spirit that lives and grows daily in the Cancer Centre in Letterkenny. I have been so privileged to be patron of that and to be involved from day one. And what happens, as Deirdre said, in those rooms, it's quite magical. And every cent raised on the Donigal Camino is helping support. And the people on our Camino at different stages might say, oh, we attend. We mightn't even know they're going there. And as Deirdre said, there's a spirituality and this lovely healing that takes place on the Donigal Camino that people really just find astonishing. And honestly, I can speak for the entire committee. It is such a privilege, such an honour to be involved. And this year, if you'll give me a little bit of a moment to say, we are extra excited because we are inviting people to walk across the waves. We are trying very hard to engage ambassadors in Australia, Canada, the United States, and on Camino Sunday, very graciously gifted us by Donegal County Council as a title we will use forevermore. On Donegal Camino Sunday, we are inviting people, wherever they are, to walk or run or just meet and chat 5 kilometres, 10 kilometres, and to make a donation. And all of those methods of making that donation will be very clear in the days ahead, because we will be spreading the word around the globe. And you know what, Greg? It is so exciting because
they're so ambitious as well, because you set targets and it's like, no, couldn't possibly be done. And yet, the amount of money being raised to continue the amazing work of Cancer Care West, the figures are astronomical. So talk to me a little bit about how people can contribute. Are we going to be launching that down the line, Noel?
Well, We're very much in the process as we speak of, we already have ambassadors in place in different cities in Australia, in America. Yeah, so that process is already started. And then it would be really very much a blitz on social media through ambassadors, through connections that Deirdre and Peggy and Noreen and John and Michael and myself have in these countries to get that message out. Because, you know, people can never know how important, like for example when you did it, the money you collected, your listeners were so generous and so kind, the Rabbit family so supportive, every penny counts, and everybody who walks, they have a great opportunity to raise personal funding by way of sponsorship, because it really swells the coffers.
Well, I am open to sponsorship, by the way. Just I'm. It all goes to the one place, right? So I don't care if you, preferably, donate directly to the Camino through what we're going to be doing, or I'll set up my own as well for people that suits better. We can, but I want to at least go 50% above personally what we raised through this show last year. We did really, really well, right? But I think I was a little bit timid last year. No, I just don't think I was. I just don't think I was brave enough, you know. But I've put on my big boy pants now, and I'm ready to put myself out there and all.
Look, I have wanted you to put yourself out there. I said,
You've
Greg,
been wanting me to take my big boy pants off for 10 years now.
No.
Yes, you have. Don't deny it now.
I told you last year you were too timid about it because you are Greg Hughes, and with the support of this extraordinary radio station, you can just move mountains literally.
Well,
and
we'll
the
see.
day on Arranmore will be beyond magical.
Yeah.
And as Deirdre said, we as a committee probably get as much out of it as those who are walking. And remember, there are people walking, you never know what load they're carrying. But so many of them at the end of that week will say, you, Donigal Camino, have no idea what you did for us. And that's fair enough, Deirdre, to say.
Absolutely, Noel. And as you say, this year, by broadening the reach internationally and making it easy for people to donate, that's very important as well, Greg. All people have to do for the donation would be for the Donigal Camino Sunday is donate, go to donigalcamino.ie/Sunday. And that will be wherever you are in the world, you can donate for that particular event. But it all goes to one area, and that's Donigal Cancer Care West Services. And individually, walkers are invited, of course, to set up their own I Donate page. That works very, very simply. We also have walkers having their traditional sponsorship cards. That's fine too. But really, there's QR codes everywhere. There'll be buckets on the roads up and down the county on the week. So, we're not going to be timid about asking people to help us reach our target this year.
And I think just one of the messages I would like to get across is how it's inclusive, and it's not a private thing, and it's not for certain people. It's for absolutely everybody. I think sometimes maybe if someone's missed out on 4 years, they go, well, it's a private little thing that I can't. No, it couldn't be any further the truth. This is the most open and involving and inclusive thing. And if you've never even dreamed of doing it before, find a section of it that suits your ability, or even do as much as you can. As Noel mentioned, the support cars, there's a great deal of support there. But this is for everyone because it's to support services that are there for everyone, Noel.
Absolutely. And, the important point you make there is, as soon as a person arrives on the morning of a particular day's walking, they immediately know they're with kindred spirits. The warmth of the welcome from those who've done some stages of it before, or indeed those who've just began a few days earlier, is immediately extended in warmth and falcha in the most gorgeous way that you immediately say, God, I just feel part of this.
Yeah. And a part of that is as well, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire, a millionaire, or don't have 2 shillings to rub together. Cancer does not discriminate.
Absolutely.
And neither does this event. This event is for everybody. It is incredibly inclusive. And I can't express enough how much you will get as an individual, or doing it with your partner or your kids or whatever, that you will get on a personal level, but at the same time supporting an amazing charity. And of course, Deirdre, you'll be back, of course, from beautiful southern France to take part. You're always back and forwards anyway.
I can't wait. And do you know, Greg, how I would sum up the Donigal Camino? It's like getting a big hug in the hills of Donigal. And everybody loves a good hug and needs a good hug. Isn't that right, Noel?
Greg Hughes has the best male hug that I know. I travel here to do the show in the studio for that hug. And I also want to make a passionate appeal to all of the wonderful listeners. When you see our little poster for our International Camino Sunday Day, we urge you to send it to your family, your friends who are living abroad, asking them again to spread the word, to get the message out, because we're almost sort of excited to think that we are the main fundraiser now for the Cancer Centre in Letterkenny, and we are so proud of that. And as Deirdre said, we're losing our timidity this year. We are going full blast.
100%.
And lots of hugs.
Okay, lovely stuff. Deirdre, unless there's anything you wish to add, neither you or I can, as much as we might be enthused, we can't match Noel's enthusiasm, so I'm going to leave that to him. But listen, we'll be getting the Donigal Camino, the website, the Facebook page is there. It's about being involved, getting involved, being included, being part of this, Deirdre, and I think everyone who can
absolutely.
should be.
And it's promoting Donegal as a world-class hiking destination, of course, as well as a great place to visit, live, learn and work, in addition to raising funds. But, absolutely, it's all about getting together and, feeling that Donegal is, wherever you roam, Donegal is home, be it across the ocean or in the south of France where I am, or anywhere around the country.
You've 2/3 of a verse written for a song there, Deirdre.
Let's get
okay, listen, lovely to see you. Take care.
Greg.
Bye-bye, Deirdre.
Great
And
to
you
see
look
you all.
fantastic and healthy. Great, bye-bye. See you. Noel, thank you so much. You're off to...
Clonmany. Yes,
okay.
And come and join me.
Yeah.
Bring the kids, get in the car, drive over to Clonmany. I can guarantee you the most wonderful
day.
Lovely
day. Listen,
thank you so much,
We're
Greg.
going to be speaking so much more about the
Absolutely.
Camino as the time. This is just really from a Highlands 9 till noon show perspective, our launch of it, and we're going to be. I don't know what we're going to work on. I'd love to physically bring listeners over on a bus or something, to join the walk or something. We'll figure that out, Noel.
Anything's possible.
Yes, of course.
Anything's possible.
But my best ideas come when I'm driving, so I'll have to get into the car and drive somewhere, and I'll have loads of inspiration. Noel, safe journeys on to Clonmany.
And thank you so much, Greg. Thank you, Highland Radio. Thank you to the Rapid family. We are indebted and so grateful on behalf of all of those in our county and beyond who are on a cancer journey.
Of course. And listen, we've all been there or are going through it. That's it. It's the leveler, So, Noel, thank you so very much indeed.
Highland Bakery brings the magic to your morning tea break. Golden scones, still warm, soft in the middle and impossible to resist. Look for the packet with the rabbit on it. Fresh from the oven to your local shop. 25 years of Highland Bakery.
Make your club look the part with BMC teamwear from Brian McCormick Sports. On pitch or off pitch, we've got you. Fully personalised kits with matching training packs. Call into our teamwear room or send us your wish list to teamwear@bmcsports.ie. Brian McCormick Sports, sponsors of Donegal League Premier Division.
Join me, Marty Free, listen every Friday night from 8 for Rockin' Hits on Highland Radio in association with Arena 7 Letterkenny. Their 2 stylish function rooms with private bars are perfect for all family occasions, from christenings to birthday parties. See arena7.ie.
Hey Susie, I'm an undergrad. Do I qualify for a student grant?
Is your household income below €115,000?
Yeah.
One sec. You could be eligible for support worth between €500 and over €10,500.
You're joking me.
Searching for jokes.
If your household income is below €115,000, you may be eligible for support. To find out if you are, sussoutssusie.ie. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
All right, dry across the region with bright or sunny spells. There might be some rain as we head towards nightfall. Temperatures of 17 to 20 degrees today. Winds light to moderate.
with all the stories that matter across the Northwest. It's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update. Good morning, Donigal Camino.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The Department of Justice says it's not seeking any extra capacity for the location of international protection applicants in Buncrana, and nor does it have any offers. It's in response to a question from Donigal Deputy Padraig McLaughlin, who raised questions about an extension to a property on Walker's Lane, which is already being used as an IPAS centre. Deputy McLaughlin says at this point it would be unreasonable to expect Buncrana and Donigal to take any more. The Health Minister is being urged to intervene to speed up the commissioning of an extension of Letterkenny University Hospital's pathology lab to facilitate more blood tests. The HSE says there was an 80% increase in the number of blood tests at Letterkenny University Hospital in the 5 years to 2024, and that's why 5.5% of GP blood tests are now being outsourced. Councillor Jack Murray says this is costing over €1 million a year and needs to be addressed. He says the solution is staring everyone in the face: extend the lab. Letterkenny University Hospital had the second highest number of admitted patients in the country without beds this morning, with 9 more than yesterday. There were 51 patients in inappropriate areas of the hospital this morning, 19 of them on emergency department trolleys. That's according to latest INMO figures. Nationally, the figure was 431, with Letterkenny second on the list after Limerick with 97. Sligo had 30. That's a combined northwest total of 81. Europe Car is announcing another investment in Ireland. This time it's a €100 million investment. It includes a branch network expansion with 3 new locations, one of them at Donigal Airport. The company says it's generating 15 new jobs across the country. Last year the company developed a new base at Drumahoe in Letterkenny. And Garda numbers are not expected to hit the levels pledged by the coalition earlier this year. The chair of the policing authority has warned the Justice Minister that due to retirements, it's expected to significantly increase the number of Gardaí leaving the force over the next number of decades. A commitment, she says, to recruit at least 5,000 Gardaí by 2029 is now under threat. Elaine Byrne told Jim O'Callaghan, in the absence of radical and meaningful reform of recruitment, it's highly unlikely that target will be met. We're back with news headlines again at 12 noon.
Thanks so much, Donald.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want, and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Ready for a summer of play? A summer-filled series of family feel-good get-togethers in the historic houses and gorgeous gardens of the National Trust. Enter a medieval masterpiece at Castle Ward. Choose your own adventure at majestic Mount Stewart. Make a beeline for Florence Court's 20th anniversary honey show. Enjoy lazy lawn games at Rowallan Garden. Take a beautiful boat trip on Blackwater River at the Argery. Or tee off at the Giant's Causeway. Ready for a summer of play? Search National Trust NI.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked, served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish, or delicious chicken, plus a great selection of gluten-free options. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8, and every Friday for breakfast from 9. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
With back to school on the way, don't let blurry vision hold your child back. At Louis Walsh Opticians, there's a great offer of a second pair of children's glasses free. Yes, buy one pair of glasses and get a second pair free. Book your child's eye test today on 9121,000 or call into Louis Walsh Opticians, your local family-run opticians in the Courtyard Shopping Centre, Letterkenny, to see the full range of glasses available. Some terms and conditions apply.
It's final clearance time in the McElhenney's summer sale. It's your last chance to save up to 50% off your favourite designer brands in fashion, footwear, homeware and much more while stocks last. Discover unmissable deals in store or shop our top summer sale offers online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Sustainability isn't simply good business. It's good for all kinds of business. And in today's climate, it's not just what you achieve that matters. It's how you achieve it. That's why AIB is driving positive change with practical knowledge, supports, and our business sustainability loan, designed to help businesses achieve more sustainable growth. Search AIB Business Sustainability Loan today. AIB, for the life you're after. Allied Irish Banks plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
I'm in studio with Danielle Bonner, who's Donigal Project Coordinator with the Women's Collective Ireland. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting us back, because I was here in December publicising the survey, and now I'm back 7 months later to talk about the findings. Because I remember the day I was here, I had my Christmas jumper on, and you forgot it was Christmas jumper.
That's
so, and then I heard you say, and then you were on the next day. But so I'm keeping well, busy as ever. But we're in the summer break now, so this is my last day working until September. But
well done. Well, you deserve it. You deserve it. So remind listeners what the shout out was in December. What were you looking for?
Yeah, we were doing. So we wanted to do a needs assessment of what women wanted in the community, essentially. So we asked a series of questions around health, what they thought was missing in the community for women, and their experience of gender inequality. So we wanted to sort of gauge all those things that we could do, so we could plan. So we're already responding to some of them already, and then also share those with the wider community, because we know Donigal's a massive county, and the community sector actually is really big, and we can't do everything. But if we can share that information with the rest of the community, they can also then respond in their local areas. So we had. I think at the time we had 540 women, but we actually ended up total of 572 women took part in the survey. So we were really blown away, and we were delighted with that response.
Did you find, and we'll go through some of the findings, but did anything in it surprise you in terms of, the services you're providing, how you're providing them? Did anything blow your face off, like in terms of a trend or something that you didn't see going, or a direction that you really need to sort of start going in off the back of this?
For us, no.
I was thinking it probably wouldn't be, yeah.
Because it's sort of like we work, obviously anyone who works, you work with the people, so you sort of know, you get a feeling of what's there. But for obviously us, we wanted to have that data to back up what we were sort of picking up in the community. Like, we know that the mental health issues were always going to be there. Like, we did research over COVID, and mental health was an issue, and we see it within the courses and the conversations we have with women. The gender equality question never ceases to amaze me. I think just under half said that.
What does that look like, gender equality? Do you know what I mean? The discrepancies there.
So we gave them a definition. I can't read the definition. It's in the report of what gender equality actually means. And so we had about just under half said that they gave examples of directly experiencing gender equality. So that could be within the home, sort of like, I would say the not conversations before we have relationships of how the family structure is going to look like. And
what might be seen as, say, old-fashioned roles, for an example.
Yeah, and I think
they're perfectly fine. Each individual is fine, right? But obviously, if a woman in that space, she probably thought her life might be a little bit different. For others, it might be perfectly fine.
But it's not even that, though, Greg. It's like we could just assume that we're going to have a relationship and that's how it's going to work out. But then it doesn't happen that way, because we have maybe those unconscious viewpoints. And I suppose it's you can have it, say you have an equal partnership, but then if your child is sick, who's going to take the time off work? If the child is sick and the school phones one of the parents, who's the parent likely to be? It's likely to be the mother. So that's just a small example. And then so you had care responsibilities. Then you also had issues around employment and promotions. We also had issues around lack of representation. Obviously, the political representation is a massive issue. And then also healthcare as well, lack of access to services and the delay in services as well. And the issue around, actually, I know it is a good thing, but at the same time that the free contraception only to 35. And I think one of the lines was, what do they think, that people don't have sex after 35?
You're only getting going.
They're just a couple of issues.
Loneliness is an interesting one, because I think we have this preconceived notion of loneliness or isolation and who it might apply to, and we should never have that, really. I'd be interested to tease out what loneliness in this cohort looks like or sounds like.
I think it's sometimes that obviously we can't forget the last 5 years, and I think that added to things. So things like some community groups, some women's groups never came back after COVID. So that
could you just move slightly behind that mic? It's just
So something that you might be had something every week you go to doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And that could have been the social contact that you had. And I suppose socialization has always been in our community, because I never forget years and years ago, Vanuna Brennan, my predecessor, she told me a story about, she was a lady actually up this way, and she used to go to a shop every week to get matches, and they like just pop in there. And God love her, when she died, they went to the house and there was matches everywhere, because that was her connection to somebody every week. And I suppose if you look at that from like a community point of view, that if those groups aren't there anymore, or you don't have transportation to come into like a town or something, that then increases the socialization and the way we communicate as well.
Yeah, the less we socialise, we kind of adapt and women expressing a need for safe women-only community spaces. What's that?
Yeah, well, someone asked me this question last week. I was on Ocean FM, Greg.
Well, at least people are listening to today.
Yeah. And
that's a joke. It's a joke. No, I'm joking, Niall.
And we talk. So obviously, we're a part of a national women's organisation. There's 17 of us, and so obviously we only work with women. So we create those spaces for women. So the courses that we offer, I've talked about the plumbing and the DIY, the crafting workshops that we do. So those are women-only spaces that women come together for a bit of them time, connecting with other women, because we see that all the time, women meeting other women. In fact, one of our DIY courses, a woman had only been in Donigal Town for a year, and she didn't know anybody, and now she does yoga and stuff. I saw her in Audi the other day, and I was just chatting to her. So,
or was it Little?
Well, one of them, I don't remember. So connecting with other women in those spaces, and then also having the confidence, because this came up when we started doing the plumbing, and even Gary, our trainer, said that he used to do mixed groups, and he saw, and this is like, can be unintentionally, that women felt intimidated to ask questions.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's the whole point. And we even have research around like single-sex schools, that girls do better in single-sex schools than a mixed school.
But see, sometimes we think, and this is not the work that you guys are doing, sometimes we think we're doing the right thing, or this is what people will want, and then you survey people and you find out, actually, no, this is what they prefer, and that's why
we did what we did.
People is so important.
Because we didn't want to just like put stuff out there without it actually being what people actually want. So like obviously we have a whole list of, we knew the skills of DIY and plumbing was top, and then crafting was there, and also cooking as well.
But that kind of also ties into the presumption of people's role. Now, there's an awful lot of people as well too who are single parents, and they don't want to constantly ask someone to come in to put up a curtain rail or what have you. But also this presumption that you put the dinner on and I'll put the cabinet together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
now, I'm not. Again, that might suit some people, but for some, maybe it's presumed to be
the option.
That case.
And I think I always said like gender equality, because I fell into the work of gender equality. It was never stuff that I always did, and I never even thought about it. And this is why, unless you have that conversation, you don't really think about it. And when you have that conversation, I always say I found my gender lens that I can't ever get rid of now.
Yeah.
You start to see the sort of the issues there. Men, there's issues for men, but obviously we just work with women, and we know there are large issues. And I should say as well, when people say gender equality, they go, "Oh, but we got rights and we have this," and they always compare us to other countries. You should never compare yourself to another country. We deal with the issues that we have in our own community.
I also feel that sometimes, for some of the people, I don't know what it would be out of the 572, that it might have been a cathartic process to some extent, because I wonder how many were putting down on paper, so to speak, how they were feeling, for the first time, that this was their outlet, that this was their opportunity to sit down and assess their life, their space in it, and get it out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's one of the things that we said. We wanted to create the space for people to say how they feel, because one of the questions we asked was what do they think is missing in Donigal? And I suppose, if you ask someone, have they ever been asked that question, they could probably say no. And so that was the opportunity for women to have their voices heard, because that's part of our work that we do, is to highlight the voices and the views of women in our community. And it must be said too,
572 is a massive poll sample for a county of this size.
Yeah,
it really is, because you might get a front page political opinion poll for the whole country, and it's less than double of that.
Well, yeah.
So
and
572 really is very reflective.
Yeah,
of,
I was proud of proud because there's only 3 of us, and I was proud of that because I went to an event actually with one of the government departments that came up to Donigal Town, and they told us about research they were doing, and they'd obviously paid a consultancy, and I think they only had 1,000. That was that was countrywide, and I was like, well, we were countywide and got 500. So yeah, I'm delighted, and I'm really proud of the women that took part in that as well.
So this information is very important for the Women's Collective Ireland project, right, Donigal? But it's also useful beyond that, right? So how can you maybe feed this information into our male-dominated council, for an example?
Well, they will be getting an email.
Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yes, they will be getting an email from us with a copy of the report. And we've analysed the data, we've broken it down quite simply as well. It's not highfalutin or anything. And then there's conclusions and there's recommendations. We've kept the recommendations quite clear and precise. Obviously for us, funding's a major issue. We're core funding in terms of having the office. We have a physical office in Donigal Town, although we work county-wide. Yeah. So that's paid for, and obviously for us as staff members. But outside of that, no, we don't have any program costs. Unless we liaise with ETB or IDP or Inner Shown Development Partnership.
And what I like to do, I don't care if it's one or I would love if it was 100, but is to connect some of the women that we're talking about today to what some of the stuff that you guys are doing, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Because I think sometimes part of loneliness or isolation or mental health challenges is not seeing maybe what could be there around you.
And that's another thing that we're doing. So we have, we've got our autumn program will start sort of mid-September. We've got our whole DIYs back on, plumbing's back on, cooking's back on, the monthly crafting we're doing in Moville this year.
I'm like thinking of all these things I can sneak into.
So we have autumn. We also have a community leadership program happening in Finn Valley in the FRC there. So I actually will be after any of those local county councillors to come along to talk to those women as part of that leadership program as well. And there are other stuff that we're hoping, we haven't got funding quite approved yet for them, other stuff that we're adding into that. And we're doing other stuff during the year as well. We're doing coffee mornings around breast cancer awareness month in October.
And of course, keep us in the loop, Danielle, because that collective of listeners is very important, and we reach an awful lot, perhaps more women than men on this program, such is the nature. So obviously we work together and keep doing so, because as I say, I want lots of people to be engaged with you.
If you want to be added to, we have a mailing list. We have a massive mailing list. That's how we contact the women. So if you want to be on our mailing list, if you send us an email at Donigal at womenscollective.ie with your name and the area that you, when I say area, the multidisciplinary area that you live in, we'll add you to the list.
I'm in the Glenties area, I'm in the Inishowen area, I'm in Letterkenny area.
We will email you out the autumn programme, and it's a sign-up list, so we're sort of going off now. There's a link that you can fill in your details, and we'll come back to you when we're back.
For sure. So don't expect an instant reply.
No.
But that'll be Danielle and the team's work, and it's a small team, and they're doing great stuff as soon as they have their well-deserved break. So we're gonna share that email address on our Facebook page as well. Just log on to it, right? Send them an email, and the worst can happen is you'll get an email back just saying the kind of stuff that's going on in your area, and it's incredibly accessible by design. And fair play to all of the women who took part in this study. And as I say, fair play to Joy and Dakota and the others plugging away on Donegal County Council. But I think it's really important too that the majority were men and the executive take on board some of these findings too, because it's a very strong sample of the life of a woman in County Donegal. Yes. Danielle, thank you as always for calling up. That's Danielle Bonner, Donegal Project Coordinator. We're going to retain that email address here, by the way. So, Donegal Project Coordinator with Women's Collective Ireland. We're going to retain that email and that info. Get involved. Get out and see it. Join one of their courses or attend one of the coffee mornings. Get out and meet people. Because you'll meet people who are very similar to you and build connections and stuff. All right, we'll be back with more after we take a break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Shop Homeland's August mega deals at your local Homeland or at homeland.ie. Save 10% off Kaiwaka Premium Rain Gear and Port West DX4 trousers. Save 10% off all dog leads and collars and save 10% off leader dog food. All this and more until August 21st. Visit homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
Planning a celebration? Discover the brand new Lily's restaurant at the Mount Errigal Hotel.
A stylish new space with beautiful surroundings and your own private bar. Perfect for birthdays, communions, anniversaries and more. Book now at Res Diary or call 074 912 2700.
75 years ago, SEAT set out on a journey to create cars that move people in every sense. From the iconic Ibiza and Leon to the family-friendly Arona and Ateca SUVs, designed with style and practicality for those who expect more. Now to celebrate, you can avail of exclusive offers across the SEAT range at our 252 sales event this June. Find out more at your local SEAT retailer or visit seat.ie. SEAT. Expect more.
Your local SEAT dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donigal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
TFI Local Link operates evening and weekend services throughout rural Ireland to help you stay connected 7 days a week. We know life doesn't just happen 9 to 5, so if you're commuting, shopping, visiting family, or going out in the evenings or on the weekends, let TFI Local Link take you there. Visit transportforireland.ie.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 11:21. Thanks once again to Danielle for calling in. Right, on this morning's wellness programme, we speak to Gavin Meenan, Ireland's #1 men's empowerment coach. Good to have you in studio. Thanks so much for joining us, Gavin. How are you keeping?
Very well, Greg. Thank you for having me.
All right, okay. So you're from Donegal, but based in Sligo now.
Correct.
And talk to me about your career and your career path to how we got to where we are today.
How long do we have? So it started through redundancy back in 2011, shortly after my daughter was born. And over the span of a year or so, and jobless, and I was fired from a couple of other jobs, I eventually began a personal training business, and that was the beginning of this journey that I'm still on.
When you went into personal training post redundancy, was that a huge pivot, or were you looking after yourself, really quite positive in the way you were thinking? Because you had a tricky enough childhood, as many of us had. But I mean, by the time you got into that space, had there been already a lot of personal growth?
Not necessarily. The personal growth happened through the personal training as I was beginning to learn more about myself through the clients that I was helping. And because throughout that process as well, I had a pretty serious porn addiction, and that was something that had been perhaps a weight that I was carrying for a long time in my life, something I used to numb out a pain.
What is a porn addiction? Is it like just watching pornography a lot? Is it almost being dependent on it? Or is it almost like your relationship? Or I suppose it's like alcoholism. It's subjective, right? But I mean, is it that it was dominating your life, or you couldn't live without it, or what?
Yeah, it was this attachment and necessity to escape reality into fantasy. And the porn addiction or watching porn is one thing, but then once you start to venture into webcam chat rooms, it takes on a whole other realm. And that was my life for a period of time. And I was building this personal training business, but the personal training business as well was an attachment. It was a way to find validation, a way to feel valued as a man. And those two things were in tandem with each other. So there was the growth of the business, but then there was also the underlying shadows that I was keeping hidden from the world and hidden from life.
Oh, were you conscious that that's what you were doing at the time, or on reflection when the penny dropped? Did you just think this is what all guys do? I'm just a regular red-blooded male, blah, 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 blah.
I wasn't thinking. That was the thing. I was...
So in other words, it was just, it seemed almost normal until such time as you realize, wow, okay, this is abnormal.
Well, I always knew that it wasn't normal because it was all very consuming, and it was the terror of being alone with myself. And especially during that year where I was ultimately jobless, there was a lot of time with myself, and probably the first time in my life that I had no distraction or had no attachment to feel valued as a man. I started to find value in something that was quite destructive over a period of time. And
that all came to a head with a leak.
that came to a head with a leak. It was a few years afterwards, and things were going quite well. The relationship was pretty good. The business was running and was well established. And then all of a sudden you get one of these phone calls from a friend that doesn't usually call. And there was footage of me in that webcam chat room being circulated around the town at the time. And that was crushing experience, and it had to crush a part of me. Because
were you the subject of it? Was
yeah,
other people joining to see you?
It was, yeah,
right,
yeah.
Okay.
So instead of watching
That's
performers,
a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with. How did you cope with that? How low was the low?
The low was
There's a lot of
pretty
stuff
low.
come at you. Then it's not just maybe shame or whatever you might feel. I'm not putting emotions into your head, but then what happens is the avalanche of your porn addiction, and everything starts coming down. Relationships and its implications on that. What your family might think. It is a catalyst for an awful lot, and it would take a lot to sort of work your way through that, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it did take a lot, and it was the first time though that I began to became truly honest with myself.
Was it a rebirth then? Sort of a reset, or sort of chapter 2, or?
Well, this was something that was hidden from my life for a long time. It was something that I kept secret. Obviously something I felt very shameful about, but then when it's exposed, there is a sense of liberation that comes with that truth, because the truth is out there. So I have nothing more to hide, and I was ultimately left with a decision whether, okay, do I allow this experience to use me, and I'm going to run away, I'm going to move country, I'm going to just flee this place so I don't have to face the humiliation.
Said, you weren't doing anything illegal, and for a lot of people nowadays, especially with the advent of OnlyFans and what have you, using what God gave you is, some people it's their entire career, and there's no shame in it. In fact, there's pride. So obviously it hit you in a different way. That's not really the way you wanted your life to go.
Yeah, but when you're in a committed relationship, that's another.
I wasn't aware that the brother off wasn't aware.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that's also
the rug's pulled
exposed
from everybody.
Yeah, true.
Rug's pulled from under everybody. So how do you then turn? And I mean, listen, we could talk for an 8-hour podcast in relation to this, Gavin, but neither you or me have the time this morning. How do you turn that then into a positive? Like how long you were in the low before you sort of start saying, right, you know what? I've learned an awful lot about myself, where I was at, what I was addicted to. I can help myself. I know I can help others because I've already been doing it, and this can be, another layer on my positive column.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the pivot where I was a personal trainer, online coach. This all happened, and the decision was to actually use this experience to help others. So that became an inspiration for me then to share my story, to talk about my struggles, to open up more on social media. And by doing so, it dissolved the barriers for other men who are hiding behind this barrier of shame in relation to their addictions or problems or struggles in life. And 18 months later, I'd written a best-selling book. And so I took that experience and I took the energy from that and I transferred into the work. That also probably became a certain escapism as well, to a certain extent. There's still issues there that had to be addressed, but I was still running away into these areas. It gave me a sense of purpose, but I also had to obviously repair the relationship and heal parts of myself that were exposed through this experience, which of course continues till today.
Yeah. And you can't bluff that.
No.
People around you, they need to see that this is real, because they're going to say, right, I'm going to reinvest in you here. It has to be a change, right?
Yes.
So the thing now, I mean, I think it's very important that we have men who are strong men, right, and are in that defined role. I would imagine this is a space potentially whereby you're meandering it, afraid of stepping on a landmine. That next thing you know, people are tating at you, or next thing you know, you're being misogynistic, or next thing you know, you're not. Is there any of that correct in that, when we talk about, raising strong men, there's no shame in that, right? Because sometimes you feel like you can't really talk about that. I'm not you. Yeah, can't talk about that because it feels like, there's some really nasty people in that space. I don't know. I'm not judging anyone because it's not much of me. But I'm just curious as to how you sort of sell this philosophy with avoiding being cancelled or something along those lines.
Yeah, I understand. The perception of that's changed over the years as I've began to, of course, discover myself all the more. And the definition of what it means to be a strong man, I believe, is changing in the world today as well. I put up a video there a few days ago of one of the guys after the retreat, and he was sharing some part of his experience about the retreat, and he actually broke down and started crying. And that is real courage, I feel, for men to actually face up to the truth of who they are and to realize that we've been running away and escaping parts of ourselves that we feel ashamed about, and for the first time looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing that this is what's real, this is what's pain, this is what the struggle is, and to work through that. So yes, strong man, go to the gym, work out, look after yourself, defend and protect others, all that, yes. But then the strong man is also the ability to go within and to tap into the truth of that incredible power that you have within.
I think you have a really important role in influencing young men, personally speaking, right? I wish there were more people like you, because the antidote to ultra, man stuff is often something completely on the other side of the spectrum. Okay, whereas you're occupying a space that it feels real. Okay, so you can look after yourself, you can appear strong, but at the same time, being sensitive or caring for others is not a weakness, if that makes sense. Yeah. And you can be a strong man, okay, but you're not a certain dominance over a woman, for an example.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So you can be a strong male person, but that doesn't mean you're better than a woman. And I think that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Whereas we can be men, but it doesn't mean that we're trying to assert some sort of a dominance.
Of course.
Okay, so we can stand up for ourselves if someone squares up to us, but we don't have to go out and be thuggish or flex every time someone looks at us sideways. That's the space where I think lads who want to be like that need to be getting into.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, for sure. I mean, that if you don't feel valued and loved within, then you're going to try to find this outside of yourself, in the sense of feeling valued through the fight, feeling valued through dominating a woman, feeling valued through being one of the lads, or feeling valued through pushing and pursuing and grinding and hustling.
Sometimes, we might interview a woman who's the victim of domestic abuse, and then a fellow will message in and go, well, men are victims of domestic abuse as well. And I go, I sort of sometimes have to lean back in my chair and go, of course, that is the case. But this is this woman's story. And it's clear she's not talking about all men. She's talking about that one man in her life. And it might lead to a distrust of men, right? But then men get all defensive and think it's all about them, or all men are the same. And I wonder, that's a terrible insecurity, isn't it? I mean, it's very clear that this woman is talking about a man in her life. Why are you feeling defensive? I think that's a sign that someone needs a bit of work on themselves.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it provokes that insecurity that they have within.
Yeah.
And this is a woman who's actually...
Because they're hearing someone talking to them and they're not talking to you.
Yeah,
maybe you can...
Yeah, true. Yeah. But the woman's also stepping into her power, and she's speaking her truth and telling her story. And to be faced with a powerful woman is something that a lot of men also feel quite insecure about. But again, it provokes this lack of power or strength that they feel within. So... Again, the toxic masculinity is to use women in order to feel empowered as a man, instead of you knowing that you have the power, and that power is to be shared, and that power of love is to be given to others. So this is the journey of going within, instead of trying to use others or take advantage of others in order for you to feel significant and valued as a man. And that's been the journey. It's turn it inwards instead of projecting outwards, and understand that everything that you're experiencing in your life is nothing more than a reflection of you. And if a woman is stepping up to you and she's being critical of your behaviors or actions in the house, well, understand that this is a message. This is something worth taking on board, because she is bringing something up in you for you to work on. She wants you to become better. But if you simply project that back onto her, then it's an insecurity. Yeah. It's a pain that's being provoked there. And we played the victim in that dynamic.
Yeah.
And we blame others for our situation instead of taking ownership for what's coming up for us. That's the hard work. It's much easier to project than it is to reflect, because when somebody says something and we feel uncomfortable about it, then we blame them for making us feel a certain way. There's nothing true in that, and there's nothing to be gained from that pursuit other than you feeling momentarily empowered because you've projected your anger back towards others.
Yes. That's something you can patch up, but it's not sustainable. How do you reach people? Obviously, you're very active, Gavin, on social media. Do you do? I know you do one-on-one stuff. Just in case anyone's listening, we'll direct them in the direction of your socials. Do you do group classes, or what way do you sort of engage with people?
Yeah, so during the week, it's one-to-one with men. Men, again, it's creating this safe space for men to express their struggles and difficulties and to obviously guide them back to themselves ultimately, instead of trying to what they've been doing, trying to find, as I said, their value in others or an experience outside of themselves. So the one-to-one work is quite significant, but then I've also started doing these men's retreats once every month for a weekend, and that's been incredibly powerful as well, to bring a group of men together who are open and willing to share and go through these battles together is incredibly powerful. So, and you'll feel inspired by others who are on the same journey as you, and there's a collective power that's established over those weekends that you then take with you into the work that you continue doing afterwards. So the weekends, yeah, that's been pretty powerful, and the one-to-one, of course, is with me on a weekly basis.
Yeah, okay. So how do people get more info? What do people look for on the socials, Gavin?
Gavin Meenan everywhere.
Simple as that, Gavin Meenan. All right, listen, it's been great having you on. Do you do a lot of public speaking as well, or I suppose you're very busy with your own stuff?
Been on a lot of podcasts, if you include that as public speaking.
No, it is, of course. It's how you reach the masses, isn't it? Either a room of 200 people or an audience of 10,000 on a pod. Brilliant stuff, Gavin. Is there anything you want to add just before we wrap up?
No, just thank you for listening, and if something in this has resonated with you, then feel free to share or reach out to me.
All right, okay. Listen, thanks so much. That's Gavin Meenan there, Ireland's #1 men's empowerment coach. You can go on your socials, check out Gavin Meenan, Meenan, originally from Goldhawk, now based in Sligo. All his information's there. Back with more shortly.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donigal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
Ireland, this is your broadband wake-up call. Over 275,000 people are waking up to Vodafone fibre broadband, now for just €25 a month. So stop snoozing on award-winning broadband. Switching is easy at Vodafone.ie.
Subject to eligibility, signing up to our €40 per month broadband package, €15 discount applied for first 6 months, an annual price increase of $3.50 each April. 24-month contract applies. For terms, see Vodafone.ie.
Back to school? Don't worry. Tesco's got you covered with great offers like a 3-pack of polo shirts from €5, plus 25% off all uniforms with your club card. If only figuring out the kids' homework was that easy. Tesco. Every little helps. Available in the majority of larger stores. Offer valid from the 30th of July to the 10th of August. Club card or app required.
SSE Airtricity are bringing you better value than ever before with our very best dual fuel plan. Get 35% off electricity plus 30% off gas, saving you up to €928. Don't miss out on the opportunity to start making savings. Simply visit ssceairtricity.com today and join the thousands who have already made the switch. SSE Airtricity. This is Generation Green. EAB €2,475. Offer available to new domestic customers from July 31st, 2025. Rates valid from April 2nd, 2025. For T&Cs, tariff, standing charge, claim verification and exit fees, see ssceairtricity.com.
Nutria's Weanling Crunch is on promotion at your local Homeland. Buy 10 bags of Nutria's Weanling Crunch ATP and get one free, or €15 off per tonne in bulk. The Nutria's Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. For product details, contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist, or see nutrias.ie.
All right, from one beefcake to another. Good morning. Good morning, Chris. How are you getting on?
Good morning,
That's
Greg.
a compliment.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, you look all discombobulated. What's going on?
Yes, I'm frazzled.
Are you frazzled? How is life? How are you keeping?
All is good. All is good. Yes.
Excellent stuff. Right, let's talk some business news because we will be previewing the Business Matters podcast, which is live very shortly. But there is a hotel on the market, is that right?
Well, it's a former hotel. Some listeners will be aware of it. Fort Royal in Rathmullen. Rathmullen House Hotel is almost next door. And Fort Royal Hotel, it was a hotel till some years ago. It's back on the market. It has changed hands a few times over the years. What I think is particularly striking for those who are familiar with Rathmullen...
It has its own train?
It doesn't have its own train, but
it
it has...
normally, if something's striking for you, it's got a train.
It's right on the beachfront, access to the lovely beach down there. It has 19 bedrooms, substantial property. There's a number of, they're called the soldiers' cottages. There's 3 of them. They were in the past let out for people staying in the area, so they can be maybe upgraded and converted again. There's also a separate site beside it, which is for sale as well. But the asking price, now when you consider the cost of building these days, and we're hearing about, $500,000 goes pretty quickly building a house. The asking price, and then it's going to be very interesting to see what it actually gets. The asking price is 1.6 million.
Wow, okay.
Now, this is
But you see, you probably need, for something
little,
like that, you probably need another 10 million, not to actually spend on it, but just for the upkeep or whatever it might be.
It could do with a little bit of work on it, but according to the selling agents, Savills are one of them. It is in very good condition, and for somebody to take over a luxury resort, it could be a retreat. Lots of potential uses. It'll be very interesting to see just what happens.
And nothing would surprise me in this county. We were in Dunlow at the weekend for the Mary from Dunlow. We went into Sweeney's Hotel after the Crown Cabaret, and it's like a TARDIS, what Pat and his team have done down there. It's this sort of like, it's significant building at the front. And they've went in and they've just created this luxurious hotel, and similar happened in Carrigart as well, saving these buildings from being turned into something else, into amazing facilities. So it's just going to take someone with that vision and to go in there and create something absolutely huge, or partition it out, or whatever it might be. Okay, fantastic. So 1.6 mil. If you've got that, you might get it for 1.5. I don't know. Put a bid in. Who's to say?
That would buy you a decent house in a decent part of Dublin. It's amazing.
That's where we're at. Here's a plan. There's a plan to convert Garda stations into offices and other things, but I've got a suggestion. Let's convert Garda stations into frickin' Garda stations and have a guard in there. How about that?
Yeah.
Is that a plan?
Well,
it's not the plan, but it would be a plan.
Well, it mightn't happen in the location I'm talking about, because they already have a Garda station there.
All right, okay.
So,
not so bad.
Well, 2 Garda stations in the one town.
Let's not get greedy, sunshine.
Okay, this is a plan, and it's part of a bigger plan, the Buncrana regeneration plans. Now, Donigal County Council is it's just embarking on what's called a public consultation process. So you can put forward your own views to the council. They are developing. It's called Re-Empowering Buncrana, an area down by the shorefront, part of which is the former Garda barracks in Buncrana, and the plan is essentially to convert it into office space. And if you go through Buncrana, well, this will now be state-of-the-art modern office space, so the hope will be
so it's part of the wider shorefront redevelopment plans. Okay, brilliant. Yeah, so, it'd be great if that was a facility that came into public benefit use, whether
Yeah.
it's public use directly or into, offices or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and like the barracks is just lying there and has been for some while, because there is the new Garda station. Well, it's not new anymore, not so far away in Buncrana. And even during the construction phase, there will be that spin-off creating the job. So that's good to see. And that the process will take a few weeks. It'll go to what's called a Part 8, and all the indications are that the councillors will rubber stamp it, and that will start proceeding relatively soon.
Any dates for our diary, Chris?
Just a couple. One of them, don't like to get embroiled in the whole Trump and tariffs things, but the local enterprise office
You've got the wrong podcast.
They're hosting a Market Explorer. Well, there's a thing called the Market Explorer grant. So if you're in exporting to the States, and obviously there's a lot going on at the moment, look, this is just going to help you there, because there's going to be plenty of hoops. But
we don't even know where the hoops are or what they're. I think it's good to go
hula hoops. Maybe
it's good to go to something like that though and get across it. Anything else coming up?
And also, just to let you know, there's one of the business support clinics that's taking place Friday week at 10 o'clock, so contact the local enterprise office for more on that.
Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with a preview of this week's podcast after a break.
Get ready for back to school with C&M Embroidery and T-Shirt Express Letterkenny. We have great value and fantastic quality on all your back to school uniforms. You can call us to order on 074 91 28097 or call to our school uniform shop at Les Monaghan Letterkenny. Get ready for back to school with C&M Embroidery and T-Shirt Express Letterkenny.
At iMotors, we've been on the road with you for generations. As your authorised Kia dealer, we believe in what Kia stands for: safety, style and reliability. And we're the same, committed to helping you move forward with confidence. Take a test drive and find out why iMotors is your #1 Kia dealer in Donegal. Visit us in Letterkenny, Malin Village or at imotors.ie.
iMotors, fearless generation.
How we use electricity can be smarter, cleaner and greener. At Electric Ireland, we can help guide you there. Our Net Zero Hub has all you need to know about smart meter plans, home EV chargers, solar panels, heat pumps and much more. Making your usage clearer, your trips greener, your home cosier and your world brighter. Find our Net Zero Hub at electricireland.ie.
If you're fitting a new kitchen or replacing some tired appliances, now's the time with the Ben Sweeney Euronics Kitchen Bundle. Get a single oven and hob, integrated dishwasher and fridge freezer, wash machine and tumble dryer, all for just €2,000. Other kitchen bundles are available on request. Call us today or visit Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find amazing savings across our departments with up to 50% off your favourite brands in our summer sale. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
All right, the weather forecast I've been sent is kind of an ulstery one, but today through the afternoon and evening, cloud will increase from the west. Towards nightfall, rain will develop across the northwest. Temperatures 17 to 20 degrees. So if you're going to the Clonmany show or you're heading out wherever you are across our beautiful region, the weather should be pretty favourable. It's quite warm too, 19 degrees across the region, which is pretty tasty. Right, Chris, so who's coming up on this week's podcast? And I think your guest really talks to the diverse makeup of the business community, and also to, it's great, and you often do it as well, recognising the positive impact those in the arts have. Not just in terms of contribution, but often marketing and offering a different sort of product for those in and visiting the county. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, the guest on Business Matters this week, I've been speaking with Jacinta Callahan in Kerry-Keel. Now, from a young age, she was interested in art and also hairdressing, a very creative mind, and at just 16 years old, she left Donegal and went up to Dublin to train with Peter Mark Hairdressers, one of the biggest names in hairdressing in the country. So that was a big step, just 16 years old. And in the podcast, she talks about how her rent in Dublin, even in those days, was actually more than what she was getting back as her training allowance, and she had a part-time job. So an innovative person, obviously. Then she had some further training in John Paul's in Derry, came back to Kerrykiel and set up her own hair salon at the age of 20. Fast forward to more recent times, and when COVID struck, the hair salon had to close its doors because of the restrictions, and she had more time in her hands, and that really developed the whole seed for a new business venture. And she really began, obviously a talented artist, to push things on that side. She displayed then, when the salon reopened, some of her works. The work started to sell, and blah, it just moved on, and now she's doing her paintings, and you can also get them, there's prints available, you can get them on slates and cushions and mugs and keyrings and lots of things. Many of her works are well-known local areas in Donegal, the likes of Fanad Lighthouse and the Keys in Ramelton and various beaches. So we've a number of clips, we've a couple of clips here, and one of the things I thought interesting, Greg, you know, if you go into an art gallery and you see a painting and let's just say it's €700, and some people think, oh, that might be quite a lot. But, and as she explains here, you know, there's an awful lot of time can go into this. You're not being paid by the hour like you are in something else. And even the cost of the raw materials can be pretty high as well. And then the whole preparation. So, as like so many things, a lot more than meets the eye.
I start from scratch. I go and I buy my own boards first of all, and then I get my husband to cut them down into different sizes, and then I sand them all down, and then prime them, and then I paint over them, and then paint over them again. So it's not like it's a lot of preparation before you even start to paint on the board. And then the paints are expensive, and the brushes, you just can't keep the same brushes for years. You have to change the brushes over. So between buying brushes and paint brushes and primer, and it's all extra, you know, people would look at a painting and think, oh, that's at that price. But it's and as well as that, you have to think about how many hours you sat doing the painting. If somebody's working, they're paid per hour. Like an artist isn't really paid per hour, you know.
Yeah, interesting insight, Chris.
Yeah, and her business, like many, because she has a digital presence, she's getting orders in from all over the world. And so was the unpredictability of the whole thing. Like, she could get 4 orders today, and then there's nothing for a few days. But she's found quite a lot of her work makes ideal Christmas presents, a lot of the paintings, and then gifts, and then tourists coming to the county as well. So things are going good. She still has a hair salon that's open on a couple of days of the week as well. So combining it all, a busy woman. And last year, Greg, she had the honour of being commissioned by Donegal County Council to do a painting for Thomas O'Neill, the son of the late Tip O'Neill, and that was part of the 2024 Tip O'Neill Irish Diaspora Awards, and she also spoke to me about that.
Recently I was truly honoured to be commissioned to create a painting for Tip O'Neill, the Irish Diaspora Awards, which is presented to Thomas O'Neill. He's the son of Philip Tip O'Neill. That was a very proud moment for me, because it was an honour, because I couldn't believe it, that the Donegal Council asked me to do this commission, and it was just unbelievable. So that happened there in September. I was over in the Innisfrone Gateways in Brochrana, and I actually emailed Thomas O'Neill, and he emailed me back, and he was delighted with the painting. So,
and tell us about the painting itself.
Yeah, well, the painting itself, like that, I had to go over to Brochrana, and I had to go to get my camera and walk up through the fields. And his house is kind of outside Brochrana, and it's just the remains of his house, just a little bit of rubble, and then you have the trees across from it. So it was an interesting picture to paint. So I'm delighted with that. As I say, it was a real honour to get that far, to do that painting.
Yeah, indeed. Sorry, Chris, I'm not finished speaking here for a moment. I was going to say that followed on into a busy year, because I think Jacinta then hosted her first solo art exhibition in Letterkenny too, which is, I'd say, a great lift for any artist as well, to put your stuff out there. So it's going from strength to strength. And she's also a hairdresser at the same time. I'm thinking, Ashley needs to pull her finger out a little bit, because Jacinta's very busy.
Yeah, now it's a very interesting story, and just touching on the Factor First solo exhibition. which was in the Regional Cultural Centre in Letterkenny. She found it very interesting. She didn't do the Leaving Cert herself, but now one of the groups coming into the exhibition was, I think it was Finn Valley College, and a group of students coming in, and that was part of their whole Leaving Cert studies that they were coming into an exhibition. And she found that particularly engaging, talking to the students who were finding out from her, just how she had become an artist. So
Brilliant.
She's going from strength to strength.
Have you hit publish yet?
Yes.
Okay, that way that podcast is available for you right now to listen to on our website, highlandradio.com. It's at the top of the page, but we'll filter down. It's always there for you, as are all the previous episodes in the podcast on demand listen back section. And it's available for you to listen live after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday, proving very popular as a scheduled show as well. Chris, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, how might they do so?
The easiest way is by email, so it's businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Mayhu Gurmahagut, Slán, thank you very much indeed. Chris Ashmore, presenter of Business Matters. Okay, just want to give you a chance to win, because who wants to see the Saw Doctors live in Letterkenny this August the 16th and party at Summer Night with Jack Jones, Finn Curran, Kimmick and Levi Heron on August 15th? Well, we've got 2 sets of tickets up for grabs, and that means 2 winners. It's all happening at Summer Sessions Letterkenny from August 15th and 16th at the Big Top, right beside the Kiltoy Roundabout. Now, this festival has it all over 2 weekends. You can expect brilliant live music from Picture This, they're amazing, Human League, Hello Memories, The Undertones, I'll have a bit of that, Nick Kershaw, is he still about? And many more. Full details at summer-sessions.ie. Now, to be with a chance of winning, just head over to our social media pages and follow the steps. Winners announced Sunday 10th of August, and please be aware, and really, really be aware of this. Highland Radio will never ask you to click on any links or provide personal details to enter or claim your prize. So there are scammers, and all they do is go around trying to ruin other people's fun. It'll be very clear. We'll contact you through proper channels to tell you that you've won, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Just go onto our socials and do what you're instructed to do, and there you go. You could be going to see some of those amazing acts, and if not, I'm not sure how many tickets are available for all the gigs, but check out summer-sessions.ie, because it's great to see big acts right on our doorsteps, and that's where we